Hello. Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily Cooking Show, to the Daily Cooking Stream, excuse me. Had to make a little adjustment. Hi, it's good to see all of you. Welcome on in. Welcome to the Wednesday show. Welcome to the best cooking show on Twitch. It is lovely to have all of you, and hello to all of my sous chefs. Hello to Drem, hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Jack, hello to Kaze, hello to Tarina Chess as always, hello to Official Nomination, hello to Juniper. Welcome on in. Hi Scribblo, hello Kaze. It is lovely to have all of you. Welcome on in. It is good to see every single one of you. I hope you're all having a beautiful Wednesday today. I'm a little bit tired, I'm a little bit sleepy. Also, Shy Chico, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you as well. Everybody, I'm really excited about today's stream. Also, Dreamer12, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you as always. So, everybody, we're going to be doing today a dish that I haven't been able to do on stream in quite some time. Also, New Tim, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you. It's really appreciated. We're going to be doing some refried beans. And as you all may know, I love beans. I love legumes. And I think, quite frankly, everybody should be eating more beans. Everybody should be eating more legumes. They're super nutritious. They're super cheap. They're so delicious. And they're so varied in texture. And today, my friends, we're going to be doing some bacon refried beans. I had some leftover bacon from the previous stream, and this is one of my signature dishes. There's not a lot of dishes that I would go out of my way to call them a signature, but making bacon refried beans to me is always, it is always such a treat. We get all of that beautiful, delicious bacon fat. We'll garnish it with the crispy bacon on top. We'll cook some onions in the bacon. We're gonna make some really beautiful, delicious seasoned beans because, my friends, we don't make it bland. We make everything nice and beautifully seasoned today. So, refried beans. We're also gonna be doing a lovely Spanish style like seasoned rice. We're gonna be making a sofrito, which is this aromatic base, and then we'll also be doing some sauteed shrimp. So, let's go ahead and walk through each and every single one of my ingredients that we'll be using for today. And everybody, the start of the show today, I have a pound of previously dried pinto beans that are now just soaking and reconstituting in some water. And we're soaking it just to be able to dissolve some of the oligosaccharides, not entirely sure how to say it, but basically it's a bit of a complex chain of carbohydrates and sugars that do cause some of the digestibility issues that people often have with beans. And so that's why we're giving it a bit of a pre-soaking. We're able to dissolve that into the water, drain that out, and as a result, the beans become a little bit more digestible. So 1 pound of dried beans, because everybody, and I want to hear, yes chef, we do not use canned beans in this household. I want to get you all into the habit of always cooking from dried, so I need a yes chef, please and thank you. Okay. Lovely. I'm going to go ahead and put that behind me. Then, everybody, I have this lovely assortment of vegetables for you today. I have this green bell pepper, which is going to go towards the rice. I have some jalapeno as well. It's going to go towards the sofrito and the beans. I have some tomato in here as well. I have some lime, because you can't have Mexican cooking without lime juice, of course. I also have a serrano chili. And once again, these tomatoes, that's all going to go towards the rice, my friends. So, I'm going to go ahead and set that down behind me. Another reason why I wanted to do this stream today, and this dish specifically today, I have all of this. I have all of my leftover bacon, my friends. And so I wanted to use it up before it goes bad. And so I saw that I had bacon. I saw that I had leftover cilantro. And that was my inspiration for today. Everybody, the way that you need to be cooking at home is you need to always first evaluate what you have. You have to look at the fridge, see what you have available to you. And the more that you cook, the more that you'll see something and think about all the different things that you can do with it. Okay? So I have some lovely bacon. Why does my produce look good? Well, official nomination, let me tell you why. It's because I know how to pick it good. So, picked out some lovely vegetables, picked out some lovely produce. Everybody, I also have some rice for you today. We're not using a medium grain rice as would be typical in a Spanish rice. I just have some short grain sushi rice, and so that's what we'll be using, and it'll still come out nice and delicious. So, we have a bunch of rice, and we'll be processing that, and I'll be walking you through exactly how to do that. What else do I have behind me? Everybody, I have a couple of things. I have some chicken bouillon powder, and I also have some sazon. These are going to be the base seasonings for my rice as well as my beans. You see these everywhere in Latin American cooking, powdered bouillon, and then this is a lovely seasoning mix. I will say, I do not typically love pre-made seasoning mixes, but this is one of the only ways for me to get annatto seeds. Annatto seeds, they're really bright, they're really orange, they're super delicious, and so I always have some sazon in my pantry. Okay, so there's not a lot of seasoning mixes that I love, but sazon, excellent. Really highly recommend it. A couple of others that I really like, I also like Tony's. Just something to throw over some rice every now and then is also really good to have. But everybody, some sazon ready to go for today. I have a couple of onions. I have one big red onion. I have one big sweet onion. In fact, this sweet onion is kind of massive if you can look at it proportionately to my face. It's pretty huge. And then I had this leftover red onion that we will be also employing for today. And everybody, once again, my inspiration from doing these always comes from what I already have in my fridge. I saw that I had bacon and I had all of this fresh cilantro, my friends. This fresh cilantro, we're going to be using up all of it before it goes bad. Still nice and vibrant and green and fresh though. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep that into the fridge. Well, actually, we will be using it soon. So, everybody, we have to make the beans. We have to go ahead and make the rice. We have to saute the shrimp. The shrimp I have in my fridge, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit. Is everybody ready for today? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. As always, if you have any cooking questions, you can ask me at any point in time. It can be about this dish. It can be about something else. Because remember, the goal is to teach you how to be able to cook at home. Next, if you want to see what we're making at any point in time, you can type in !menu in the chat itself. That'll give you a full list of all the different things that we're making. Third, everybody, please, if you can, if you're financially able to do so, please check out the Patreon, !Patreon. My goal is to be able to do this full time one day. You can scroll down into the About section. You can just type in !Patreon. And that's the best way to financially directly support the show. So please and thank you. Any and all help there would be really, really appreciated. And so I'm going to go ahead and have a little sip of water, and then we will begin. And so, everybody, I want to get everybody watching into the habit of making dried beans from scratch. There is a reason why we want dried beans and not canned beans. First of all, dried beans are significantly cheaper. While canned beans are indeed quite convenient, the problem with canned beans is that you are paying for a lot of additional water weight, and it is also quite wasteful because of the fact that it comes in a can. They can be upwards of 1.5 times as expensive to buy canned that's already been cooked as opposed to a dried bean. So, what is the biggest problem with cooking dried beans? Well, it's the fact that they can take some amount of time to cook. And in order to mitigate that, my friends, in order to make the process of cooking the beans as easy and quick as possible, I want to encourage you all again and again, get into the habit of making them in a pressure cooker. I have a lovely Instant Pot. Using a pressure cooker for my beans, for my stocks, has just made my life so much easier, everybody. You could do it over a stove that's very gently bubbling away for a couple of hours, or please invest in a pressure cooker. It cuts the time in a third, okay? It just does such a nice, consistent job. I love my pressure cooker. I love using it for beans. I love using it for stocks. And this is, to me at least, an essential tool if you're busy and you still want to work with dried beans and you have a busy schedule. An Instant Pot makes your life so much easier. And it's not even a contest, okay? So, everybody, lovely Instant Pot. And the ratio that we will be using always is roughly 2 quarts of water to a pound of dried beans, but also it's not too exact. The only thing is if you don't have enough water, the beans might float to the top, they're not going to cook all that evenly, and then some of the proteins might scorch around the sides. So roughly 2 quarts of water per pound of dried beans, but the ratio you can also play around with a little bit. You never thought about using your Instant Pot for beans? Well, Mother Organic, this is it. This is your inspiration. Go ahead and do so. Okay, next thing. The other reason why I don't like canned beans is because they have that canned tinned flavor. Similarly to things like boxed chicken stock, canned beans, it has a bit of that tinned flavor to it. The third thing is you don't actually get to control the texture of your beans as much. Let's say you want to do a black bean salad. You buy a can of cooked black beans. I've had so many inconsistencies with different brands. I've had some black beans that were mushy. I've had some black beans that were hard. By cooking it yourself, you get to have full control of the texture, my friends. You get a full control of the texture, the seasoning, and you get full control of that liquid as well. That liquid, that bean cooking liquid, is so important because it is what thickens. Once you bubble it away, once you reduce it down, my friends, it gets so nice and thick and viscous. So, once again, only dried beans in this household, and we're going to be walking through exactly how to do that. So, I have an entire pound of beautiful pinto beans soaking away. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of soaking your beans, and why am I going through this process? Excuse me. Why am I going through this process to begin with? Well, First of all, it does make the beans cook a little bit quicker if you give them a bit of a soaking, 6, 8, maybe even just a couple of hours in advance. Now, that is not the actual reason why I'm soaking them. That is typically really useful for stovetop cooking methods because it accelerates the process. The reason why I'm specifically soaking these pinto beans is because it helps to dissolve some of the oligosaccharides. This is the thing that is one of the culprits for why beans can cause some digestive issues. Okay, so by giving them a bit of a soaking in some warm water, no need for boiling hot water or anything, giving them a soak for a couple of hours in advance is going to greatly mitigate the oligosaccharide concentration within these beans themselves. Now, it's not going to get rid of all of it. You still might run into some digestive difficulties, but such is the life of beans. Otherwise, I love beans. I love beans to death. They're so beautiful. Also, April on Venus, thank you so much for the Prime sub, and you're not too late at all. Everybody, I love beans. They're delicious. They're so cheap. They're so good for you. There's so much protein in them. Everybody should be eating beans, and I do mean everybody. So, these pinto beans, I'm just going to go ahead and just quickly drain off. I'm going to grab a strainer, dump that into the sink because we do not need any of that bean soaking liquid, my friends. We want all of it gone. And I do mean all of it. Also, where is my metal strainer? Huh. I don't know where it is at the moment. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to go ahead and find that eventually. So, I'm going to go ahead and just quickly dump this out into the sink, my friends. Get all of that bean soaking liquid. Get it out of here. We're not Mormon. We have no need to soak. Let's go ahead and strain that off. And I'm just going to go ahead and quickly dump that into the pot. Let's get all that liquid out of there. And into the pot she all goes. But, my friends, these beans are not going to be enough. Okay, also, Juniper, thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it. Very sweet of you. Swollen, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you as well. Okay, so, everybody, once again, 2 quarts of water for roughly a pound of pinto beans that I have soaked here. I love using pinto beans for refried beans, but you could technically just use anything that you want. You could use anything that you want. You could use any kind of bean that you want, and it's all going to come out delicious. So let's go ahead and flavor these beans, my friends. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get an entire double packet of sazon inside. So once again, this is a seasoning mix that I really love. I normally hate pre-ground seasoning mixes. You don't get to control things as much, but the reason why I really like this stuff is because it is one of the most accessible ways to get annatto seeds at home. Annatto seeds have a lovely earthy flavor to them. They have a beautiful orange color that they add to everything. And so we're going to go ahead and get a double packet of this inside of the pot. Let's get that dumped in. All of it in. Get both packets in there, my friends. And you can already see that beautiful color is just coming out and staining everything. But yes, I love sazon, one of my favorite seasoning mixes of all time. And quite frankly, it should be yours too. So, double packet of sazon goes inside, and everybody, we're also going to do a couple of spoons of chicken bouillon powder. And again, do not be afraid of pre-made, artificial synthetic bouillon. It's delicious. It's so yummy. It has so much flavor inside of it, and you see this everywhere in Latin American cooking, especially in beans. So I'm going to go ahead and get a nice generous spoon or two just inside. Don't even have to worry about mixing it up or anything. Jack, you've asked me what are my favorite beans? That's so difficult to say. I love all beans. I love chickpeas. I love red kidney beans. There is no such thing as a bad bean in my eyes. So I don't know if I'd be able to tell you, Jack. I love red kidney beans a lot, though. So if anything, maybe red kidney beans. But they're all great. Fava beans, northern beans, the gigante white beans. Mwah. Those are all so delicious. Okay, so those are my seasonings, some chicken bouillon powder and sazon. But a very nice thing that you can also go ahead and do, my friends, is to get some more aromatics in there. We have all of these vegetables. And so with these vegetables naturally come some vegetable scraps. Instead of throwing those scraps away, okay, we're going to be going ahead and adding them inside of my final product. Okay, Shai Chica, you asked, how could I choose between my beans? That's right. I can't have a favorite child, can I? I can't have a favorite bean. So here's what's going to go ahead and happen. We have all of these lovely chilies, and these normally, the tops, we end up discarding. But instead of discarding the tops, I'm just going to go ahead and hack them off and throw them into my pot of beans, my friends. So it's going to add some vegetal flavor, right? Serranos, jalapenos, they're very, very vegetal. They're very delicious. Pinto beans and chili. Well, honestly, in chili, you can do any kind of beans that you want. So everybody, my jalapeno and my serrano tops, I'm gonna go ahead and throw into the pot. And let's go ahead and get my bell pepper processed as well. We're gonna need the bell pepper for the sofrito today, which is gonna be the aromatic base. And so we're gonna go ahead and save the top and throw that inside of the pot. I have this big old lovely bell pepper. I'm gonna do something called squaring off the bottom. All that I'm doing is I shaved off the bottom just so that it sits flat. I can go ahead and just dump those little pieces in there. And my friends, instead of going in there and just taking out the top, we just shave the sides. So this bell pepper is a little bit ugly. He's a little strange. That's okay. We'll figure it out. We just take this and we shave those sides down, my friends. We take it and we shave the sides and we leave all of the spongy white part inside. Okay. Chef, if I can't buy sazon, how can I replace it? Really good question, Pseudo Natural. The most important ingredient in the sazon I have is going to be the annatto seeds. Otherwise, everything else in there, onion powder, garlic powder, some type of chili powder in there as well, I'm sure. All of that stuff, and annatto seeds. Annatto seeds will be the most important, cumin seeds, coriander, and then I think you'll be all good to go after that point. So this is the bottom of the bell pepper. I'm going to go ahead and throw that into the pot as well, just because I have it. And I'm not going to try to get any of the seeds, I'm not going to try to get any of the spongy part inside of my bowl of beans, but instead I'm just going to go ahead and throw the top of my bell pepper as well. These are all of my little shavings, these are all of my little planks. All of this is going to be used for the sofrito later on. I can go ahead and put that all behind me and into the past. Okay, next, what are the other, oh, come on, I already dropped a bell pepper. We're going to go ahead and get some onion scraps in there. Everybody, if you're not doing this with vegetable scraps, you will still need an allium component. Beans and alliums, beans and onions, beans and chicken stocks, they all, onion and chicken stocks, they all go together beautifully. Also, Jack, that is incredible. I'm glad you had such a good deal. So what we're going to do, once again, normally we cut the heads off of our vegetables, and instead of discarding them today, I'm just going to be going ahead and throwing this into the pot. So this is from my red onion, because we'll be using both of these onions for today. And I never buy curry powder to in it. You will never catch me with curry powder. That, I will always say, nobody needs. So, my top of the red onion, we peeled off all the dirty skin from it. The allium component is still going to be so delicious inside of this. I'm going to go ahead and add that into the pot. And I also have this freakishly sized, absolutely massive sweet onion, my friends. There you go. Let's go ahead and cut the top of it off. So the reason why I do buy Japanese curry cubes, the reason why I buy curry roux, is because it's a thickening agent. It's because it's been specially made for this. Otherwise, the process of making a roux for your own Japanese curry is a substantial amount of effort. It is not worth it to make your own curry roux at home, aside from a novelty. So I'm gonna just go ahead and trim off the top, and everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and get this chunk of onion into the pot as well. So a lot of alliums, right? Nice and beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and get my onions back behind me, because we are not going to need them for a little while. And everybody, we also have some leftover scallions. Let's go ahead and get the scallion bottoms in. Again, these lovely scallion bottoms, these are so good to add to chicken stocks. These are really lovely vegetable scraps, okay? So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to all of my scallion bottoms, every single one of them, just like so. And you have to thoroughly wash them to make sure that there is no sand left inside of them. Take them and just cut them off. Take them and cut them off and get these bad boys into the pot as well. They have a lovely, nice allium flavor as well, my friends. They're gonna make our beans nice and delicious. So all that we're really doing, we're taking all of these scraps, we're taking all of these leftovers, things that would otherwise get thrown away, and we're giving them new life. We're extracting as much flavor out of them, my friends. And that is truly beautiful, efficient home cooking if I've ever seen it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my scallions into the fridge because I'm not gonna need it for a while. And everybody, last but not least, I'm gonna get my cilantro stems into the pot as well. So we have all of this beautiful fresh cilantro. The cilantro stems I normally don't like to cook with because I don't like the texture of them. And so, once again, instead of throwing them away, we'll just be adding it to our pot of beans. So I'm going to quickly rinse off my knife because it is a carbon steel knife after all. I want to make sure that there is no food stuck to it or anything. Chef, how long does a quick stock take to cook? Well, Jack, it depends on the kind of a stock that you're making. A shrimp stock will always take 5 to 10 minutes. For the chicken stock, honestly, I don't like doing quick stocks because you don't get the full extraction of flavor that you're looking for. At minimum, on a stove, I always do like minimum 3 hours or so. Okay? Always, always, always. So, drying off my knife, because once again, this is carbon steel. If I leave it exposed to something wet for too long, it will begin to rust. And so, everybody, let's just go ahead and gently process up all of my cilantro stems. And I've shown you how to do this a million times. I don't think I got to teach you that many more times. All I'm going to do is just pick the leaves. Pluck the leaves, and just keep it going. So if you have any questions, this would be a lovely time to go ahead and ask me. Just pluck them, show them who's boss. Get it done, my friends. Get them out of here. Each and every single one of these leaves, we want them all to come off, and then we'll tie up all of my cilantro stems to make sure they don't fall apart inside of my pot of beans. And they'll add in also a really nice, delicious aromatic component into the final dish today. Okay, and if there's like any thin stems, you can absolutely just leave those on. The thin stems aren't that big of a deal, but the reason why I like to pluck my cilantro leaves, even though the stems have a lot of flavor, is just because, again, the texture of the stems, it's a little too woody for me sometimes. Okay, so going ahead, getting all of this stuff plucked off, my friends. The only thing I pluck, strings and herbs. That's right, pseudo-natural. That's like a dad t-shirt. That's like a dad fishing hat. You know, it has like the same vibes as, women fear me, fish want me, or something, whichever way it goes. So, going through all of it, picking off my leaves, going one by one, nice and gentle. Just have fun with the process. And everybody, as always, I keep my fresh herbs, little container with some paper towel. It keeps it fresh for so long. Okay, it keeps it fresh, it keeps everything nice and vibrant. It stops things from spoiling too quickly in your fridge. I don't like this method of putting it in like a jar of water. Okay, this is how I get my cilantro to last upwards of a week sometimes. But all of my leaves, they've got to get plucked for today. Because guys, this is Mexican food. In Mexican food, cilantro is used all over the place. Limes are used all over the place. You see these in just about every single possible component. Okay, you see them everywhere, you see them all over the place. And so, there's never such a thing as too much cilantro. Thanks for the ideas, Chef. Well, you're welcome, pseudo-natural. I'm glad that I could inspire you a little bit. So, keep it going, keep it plucking. We're almost done, everybody, with this massive batch of cilantro. Truthfully, I hate this part of the job. This is always my least favorite kitchen task. So while I never worked in a restaurant, I did apprentice very briefly in a New York City restaurant. And so one of the things that they had me do was, if you are familiar at all with thyme as an herb, I had to pluck so much thyme, so much rosemary, so many other herbs off the stems for service. And when I said I had to pluck a lot, I mean it was enough for like a massive restaurant. It was a very good restaurant, but they sure gave me some of the not so fun jobs. But it was also hilarious. They also had me as like a 13-year-old working like the fryers, and I was working on the line. I was on sautéing, and it was on like the frying station as a 13-year-old kid in this restaurant. Crazy, insane conceptually, but I had so much fun. So that's the only part of the experience that I really did not like. But yeah, so anytime that I pluck herbs, that's all that I really think about. Chef, you were 3'4" at 13. I was more like 5 foot, okay? I was like 5 foot tall. Something like that. Not OSHA compliant. It's not OSHA compliant because I'm not tall enough. Excuse me? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all my cilantro leaves back and put away. We're not gonna need them for some time. We can just go ahead and put them back into my lovely little Tupperware, and I'll put that into my fridge. So, everybody, we're left with all of these beautiful cilantro stems. These cilantro stems, we are not going to be discarding them today. We will instead be using it towards the final pot of beans. And in order to make sure, because look at these stems, everybody. I don't want to pick through a pot of beans to separate the stems from them. I don't want these things to fall apart inside. They're going to be impossible to take out after. So instead of doing that, all that I'm going to go ahead and do, we're going to get ourselves a little bit of kitchen string, a little bit of butcher twine. Has to be a nice natural fiber, no polyester, please, thank you. Okay, typically made out of cotton. And everybody, all that we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that they're all nicely stacked up, tie them, and throw them inside. And the reason why I'm doing this again is just so that I don't have to pick through a pot to get all of my cilantro stems out. It's going to be so much effort. It's going to be so annoying. I don't want to accidentally bite into a boiled cilantro stem. That's not a particularly exciting thing, is it? Okay, so all my lovely cilantro stems, nice and tied up, just like, well, never mind. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and put that into the pot, my friends. So what do we currently have inside of the pot at the moment? Well, this is our pot of beans, my friends. I have a pound of dried pinto beans, a couple of quarts of water, some powdered chicken bouillon, a double packet of sazon, and all of my vegetable scraps for today. There is no waste happening. We got all of my onion scraps, we have my jalapeno scraps, my bell pepper scraps, my scallion scraps, as well as my cilantro scraps. We're not wasting anything, we're being nice and efficient, we're making the most out of what we have, and we're extracting all of the flavor from them. I want to get you all into the habit of making your own beans from scratch, my friends. And so after these pressure cook, we'll be sauteing some onions, we'll be adding back in the beans, we'll be doing a couple of more spices, we'll be cooking it in the bacon fat, and it's going to be phenomenal, it's going to be delicious, it's going to be beautiful, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take this big old boy and put him onto the pressure cooker, and because of the fact that I've already had these soaking, I'm going to say nothing too crazy. We're going to do 30 minutes of high pressure, and then about 20 minutes of natural pressure release. Okay, everybody, if you don't own an Instant Pot, I think you're making a bit of a mistake. It is a lovely, lovely tool to have. So, going ahead, 30 minutes, once again, of high pressure, and then we'll do 20 minutes of natural pressure release. But because of the fact that these beans are going to be used for refried beans, we want these beans soft. We don't want them firm. We don't want them to be crunchy. We want them to be so soft that when it cooks down, it easily mashes up, and we're gonna get something so delicious. It's not gonna be beautiful, the refried beans at the end of the day, but it will be delicious. So that's happening, that's currently going. Everybody, let's work on the bacon for today now, because we are going to need plenty of bacon fat for my refried beans. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So bake, set it on, once again everybody, 425 degrees. I love using the oven for making bacon. I basically stopped using a pan for all of my bacon cooking. I originally had to do bacon in the oven because I was doing, the cooking teaching in person, the other job that I have, and I realized, wow, it is so much more easy and is so much more consistent. There is no splashing, there is no uneven cooking, because oftentimes bacon strips are so long. They're so long that they don't fit onto your pan. You're gonna need a whole griddle, and then it becomes a mess. Everybody, I love doing my bacon in the oven. I love doing a sheet tray bacon method. It saves so much time. It makes your life so much easier. So get on it, hop on it. Now is the time to go ahead and do so. So we're gonna go ahead and prepare the sheet tray. We're gonna prepare the bacon for this. Let's go ahead and get that started. We're gonna need a nice big old metal sheet tray, my friends. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that bad boy now. And so, everybody, when I talk about kitchen tools that I love, and kitchen tools that are widely underrated, I need to hear yes, chef. I need to make sure that everybody's listening to me right now. Okay? I really love sheet trays. I love a nice basic metal sheet tray. Not a non-stick one, not a Teflon coated one. These sheet trays, they're meant to be beaten up. These things, you're meant to destroy. You're meant to scratch these and destroy these things, and they're meant to be cheap, and they can still last in spite of that kind of abuse for a long time. A nice set of aluminum or stainless steel sheet trays will go such a long way. Please do not listen to anybody that tells you to get a non-stick sheet tray. Non-stick sheet trays, quite frankly, should not exist. They do not last. Non-stick coating does not last. Non-stick is not meant to go in ovens at a high temperature. Non-stick is not meant to have uneven heating all the way around it. The beauty of a nice metal sheet tray like this, my friends, is you can't mess it up. These are tools in a kitchen that are meant to work for you. Teflon coated sheet trays, they will not last. They do not have any semblance of longevity. Okay? So, I want to talk about that really quickly. I think it's really, really important, and it's something that everybody needs to go ahead and hop on ASAP. I'm going to go ahead and cover this with some foil because it's going to make our cleanup process a little bit easier later on. And I'm going to make sure that we are double coating this with foil. And the reason why I'm double coating this with foil is because I really don't want any of my bacon fat to leak. Okay, I want all of that beautiful bacon fat, my friends. That beautiful bacon fat, that is what's going to make our refried beans special. That is my signature refried beans. You get to take all of that bacon fat, smoky and cured and delicious and with so much flavor, and then we cook the onions in it, and it becomes something genuinely magical. Okay, so I'm gonna really, really heavily make sure that this is nicely foiled up. Okay, just like so, ready to go for today. And then everybody, I'm going to be going ahead and coating this with some paper towels. And so, there's a reason for this. Bacon is really wet. When you buy pre-sliced bacon at the supermarket, it has been typically something called wet brined. Okay, and what wet brining is, is they essentially take the salty, sugary solution and they inject it into the meat itself. Now, the salt and the sugar, it helps to preserve it. It helps to keep the bacon nice and moist. But what happens is that liquid slowly leaches out as it sits in the packet. That bacon is wet. And everybody, as you know, bacon has a lot of fat. The fat melts out. There's the liquid on the bottom. You know what's going to happen? It's going to splash. And then all of that liquid with all the sugars in there, it's going to burn and stick to your sheet tray. So important, paper towels, and we're going to pat the bacon dry, my friends. Chef, was there a hype kitchen tool that you disliked but now like for its use, Jack? I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for you. Because normally I don't like to make an opinion about a kitchen tool until I actually get to use it. So I don't know if there was like a kitchen tool I suspected was overhyped or anything. I don't think I have an answer to your question. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glove on up for this, my friends. Get these bad boys on, and we're just going to go ahead and pat the bacon dry and get it ready to go into the oven. So analogically, the dry brine is using the salt and sugar on the surface of the meat. Yes, absolutely pseudo-natural. Wet brining is you either submerge it in the liquid, or often, as in the case of processing things like bacon, they physically inject it. You'll also see a lot of barbecue bros be like, oh, we're injecting the brine inside. I like dry brines usually. Wet brines are important to have a thick cut of meat, but you never really need to inject a brine. Injecting brine doesn't really do as much as people think it does. Okay, so everybody, I have my lovely bacon, and once again, this was my inspiration for today's dish. I have all of this leftover bacon. I didn't want it to go bad, and so thus I decided to do my bacon refried beans. I also haven't had refried beans in a while. I love refried beans to death, but everybody, this is the way that you should be cooking at home. You need to look at what you have in your fridge, evaluate it, and then decide on what to make based on what you already have. Cooking at home is not about you having an idea, you have a whim, and then you make everything that you want every single day. You need to compromise. Because guess what? You can't buy just enough produce just to make one dish. You can't buy just enough pantry staples just to make enough for one dish. Okay? You typically always have to buy a little bit too much, especially for cost efficiency reasons. You buy a little bit too much, and my goal is to teach you all of the amazing things that you can do with it. This is how I cook at home, and this is how I want you to cook at home too. What's ended up happening is, because people are like, oh, I'm tired of all of my produce going bad, something like Trader Joe's has gotten very popular in recent time. They sell you very small packages of very overpriced produce, but you feel like you're saving money because it's not going bad by the end of the week. That is not the way to go about it, my friends. I want to teach you all the magic of fresh produce. I want to teach you all the amazing different things that we can do with it. Okay? And so, I reject such a method. Okay, my bacon has now been mostly patted dry. I'm going to be going ahead and just gently laying this out onto my sheet tray. So, some people, they do their bacon on a wire rack, but honestly, it's actually counterintuitive. We want the fat to pool up around the bacon. We want the fat to help facilitate the cooking of the bacon. By doing so, the fat is going to surround it, and it's going to help make sure that everything gets really, really evenly browned, my friends. Okay, so I'm taking my bacon, I'm laying them all out right next to each other, trying not to stretch it out too thin. Can people stop taking advantage of problems to make money? Well, Shy Chica, welcome to capitalism. What you have just described is innate to capitalism and how it functions. What capitalism does is it sells people solutions to problems that are not actually the right problems. So if the initial problem is, hey, people have a lot of produce at the end of the week, it's difficult to buy enough for what you need, my goal is to teach you all how to compromise. My goal is to teach you all of the different amazing things that you can do with produce before it goes bad by the end of the week, my friends. That is what I'm here to do, and that is what we are going to achieve together. And so, if you have any questions on what you can do with a certain piece of produce, my friends, if you need any inspiration, if you need any ideas, please ask me. The reason why I'm able to look at my fridge and decide, hey, this is the thing that I want to do, is because I've been cooking for 14 years. I have so much information inside of my head that I'm able to look at. And this is not meant to be a brag, but I'm talking about my active cooking process. I look at my fridge, I see a piece of produce, I already have a million different things I can do with it. That takes a lot of time, and that takes a lot of experience to build up. So, don't hesitate to ask if you want some inspiration, my friends. Chef, is there still a chance this patted dry bacon could stick to the foil? Pseudo-natural, I'm gonna actually say not particularly, because bacon is so fatty. Bacon has so much fat. Bacon is going to release its own fat naturally. It's going to stick initially, but then the longer that it cooks, it's going to naturally unstick itself, and its own fat will be its own lubricant. So you don't really have to worry about the bacon sticking to the foil. If you feel like it's sticking to the foil, I promise you, just give it a little bit more time and it will naturally unstick itself. We're waiting for my oven to preheat to 425 degrees. And so everybody, the method is so simple. Bacon, sheet tray, 425 for 10 minutes, rotate it another 5 minutes, and that's it. No need to mess around on a pan, no need to mix it, no need to move it around, no need to worry about anything splashing. You don't have to do the water bacon method. I love cooking bacon on a sheet tray. It is so efficient, we get to do all of this at once, and it shrinks up a lot. Everybody, this is basically 2 to 3 portions of bacon. If we were to cook this on a pan, you need a massive pan to cook this all at once. A sheet tray makes your life so much easier. It really does. I keep talking about it. I keep shilling it because I do think it's just that important for people to go ahead and own one of these. Or rather, to go about this method. So, 425 for 10 minutes once the oven heats on up. And so I'm going to go ahead and just set that aside until that is the case, my friends. Okay, so what else do we need to do today? Well, everybody, we have a boatload of vegetable prep that we need to go ahead and get done. We need to make the sofrito. The sofrito is the aromatic base. So let's talk about aromatic bases really quickly. In French cooking, there is this concept called the mirepoix. Well, not a concept, it's more of a thing. A mirepoix is a trinity of onions, carrots, and celery. And with onions, carrots, and celery, it makes anything taste somewhat French. It makes anything taste somewhat Italian. You see onions, carrots, and celery used everywhere, in soups and dishes and sauces. The sofrito in Latin American cooking is a little bit different. It's another aromatic base that you see used all over the place. And depending on the country in Latin America, everybody does it a little bit differently. But the things that they have in common are, they always have a bell pepper. Okay, they'll always have like a nice green bell pepper, and there's some kind of a green chili. We'll always have onions of some kind, because guys, alliums, they make the world go round. Alliums are so delicious, they're so aromatic. They'll always feature some kind of cilantro component, and then sometimes spicy chilies and sometimes tomato. But my oven has been preheated, everybody, 425 degrees for 10 minutes, then we rotate the bacon and give it another 5 minutes. So into the oven it goes. I absolutely just burnt the hell out of my hand by putting it into the oven, but that is okay. The more that I burn my hands, the more resilient to it they will become in the future. Or at least that's what I say to myself to make myself feel better. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the aromatic base for today started, my friends. Okay, so here's what we are going to need to do. We need to go ahead and make sure that we cut everything up into really small pieces. The goal for this aromatic base, my friends, is for it to dissolve. I want this stuff to get nicely and beautifully sauteed, and then I want it to basically melt. I want this to melt into the refried beans. I want this to melt into the rice. The goal of this sofrito is not for me to be able to taste it. Or, excuse me, not for me to be able to feel it in my mouth. The goal is just to be able to taste it. The goal is for you to get that vegetal flavor out of the bell pepper, the sweetness of the onion. But you don't want to bite into a massive chunk of it. If you want to bite into a massive chunk of it, be my guest. But those are not my intentions for today, my friends. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get some gloves on because these are wet and I wanna protect my dainty little eczema-ridden hands, because the longer that they are exposed to something wet, of course, the bigger the risk that my eczema just flares up again. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some gloves on, and we're gonna be mincing this bell pepper, my friends. We're gonna be cutting it up into super, super tiny pieces, something so small that, again, the goal of it is for it to break down inside of the final product. We want to break it down. We want it to cook down. We want it to get nice and soft and delicious, everybody. We don't want massive chunks of pepper. We don't want massive chunks of vegetables. We just want everything to get really beautifully processed, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just get a bowl ready to put this stuff in. This is 1 large green bell pepper, and I don't necessarily think that I'm going to be using all of it today. We'll see how much we will need to end up using. So 4 planks, excuse me. The first thing that we have to do, my friends, is cut this up into some nice batons, right? So we're at a plank. Time to get this into really, really thin batons. Everybody, paper thin, paper thin, paper thin. Nice sharp knife, slice all the way through it. And I want thin little strips. Again, the goal is for this to break down. The goal is for this to get so soft as it cooks, my friends. The goal of the bell pepper is to contribute to everything else. The goal is not to be able to bite into it. Okay? I want a nice fluffy texture on the rice without any chunks. I want a nice creamy bean texture without biting into a chunk of bell pepper. So, really, really thinly slice it, my friends. Thinly slice it, and we're going to go ahead and proceed with the next couple of things of bell pepper. I don't really think I'm going to need this much bell pepper for today. This is a bit, admittedly, of an aggressive amount, but I guess we'll figure it out. So, everybody, once again, slice it, nice sharp knife, nice thin, all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. Keep it going. And if we have too much sofrito, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it in my fridge and use it for another day. Right? This is an aromatic base that people do buy jars of in advance. They buy like canned sofrito and then they cook with it. But in my experience, I much more prefer to make my own. You get to have much better quality, much fresher produce. You get to really control the texture of it better. And the reason why I don't actually like pureeing it is because it crushes it so much that it becomes difficult to get it nice and golden. While a knife is going to get it nice and small for us, it's not going to crush it so much that it immediately leaches out water as it cooks. The goal is still to be able to beautifully saute my sofrito. Okay? So all I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to stack up my batons now, and we're going to go ahead and turn them into a really nice fine dice, my friends. And when I say a fine dice, I do truly mean a fine dice. Okay? So fine, thin, all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. I don't want any chunks. I don't want any massive pieces, everybody. I just want nice, small dice, really fine, really beautifully done. Just like so. And so, let's just go ahead and process these up one big stack at a time. Slice it and slice it and slice it. Of course, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me at any given moment. I'm here to help you all, okay? Chef, what do you think of yesterday's Nintendo Direct? Oh, Moonham, I have an answer for you. A lot of it was just, man, industry video games are just kind of slop. Is what it really feels like. It just feels so pumped out. So many remasters of games instead of anything new and original. I'm so tired of cel-shaded art styles with minimalistic 3D models. I'm so tired of the Nintendo Switch's really limited performance. I thought the Direct yesterday was incredibly unimpressive. Chef, can I put cast iron range grates into the dishwasher? Tarina, you cannot. I'm going to tell you right now confidently that you absolutely cannot. They're cast iron. If you put them in a dishwasher, they can and they will rust. Okay? So, everybody, look at all of these lovely bell peppers. We're going to go ahead and add this into my nice big bowl. That is where we will be building the rest of the sofrito today. I can already smell the bacon cooking. It smells nice and smoky. It smells nice and delicious. We're going to be, of course, extracting all of that beautiful bacon fat and making the most out of it today. Okay? So, everybody keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Get all of it nicely diced. But yeah, no, stove grates, if they're a cast iron stone grate and stove grate, excuse me, and they're not coated, Serena, you absolutely cannot put them in the dishwasher. I'm so sorry. So, keep it all going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Let's get it all done, my friends. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna necessarily need this entire bell pepper for today. I might just go ahead and save the planks and do something else with them later on. This was a really comically sized bell pepper that I have here today. So, going through it, processing it all up. And yeah, everybody, bell peppers, they're so vegetal. I wouldn't do a red bell pepper, I wouldn't do a yellow one. I specifically chose a green one because they are not sweet. Red bell peppers, yellow bell peppers, they're very lovely and sweet, but I want that vegetable component. I want that savory component inside of my sofrito today, okay? So, all of that just got nicely and beautifully diced up. I'm gonna go ahead and add that into my bowl. Awesome. And yeah, I've just decided I don't think I'm going to need these other bell pepper planks for today. He likes my shirt. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. Okay. So these bell peppers, I'm gonna go ahead and just put them into the fridge later on because we don't need them at the moment. We're not gonna need them for quite some time, actually. And where's my lid for this container? And yeah, and so if anything, everybody, these are just going to be ingredients for Friday's stream. The reason why I'm not chopping these up is because there's such a thing called destructive prep and non-destructive prep. The more that we chop it, the more limited our use cases are later on. I don't know what I'm going to be cooking for Friday, so I'm going to try to keep these bad boys as intact as possible, and I'll go ahead and throw that into the fridge. Everybody, I also have, in addition to the regular onion, I have a bunch of lovely scallion whites that I thought, hey, let's go ahead and use them up for this kind of a dish today. Okay, so let's see how many more scallion whites I have. I have all of this, and then the greens we'll be using for something else later on. We'll just go ahead and get these bad boys nicely diced up as well and get them into the rest of the sofrito. And the scallion greens, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use as a garnish for today. So, 2 more minutes on the bacon before we give it a bit of a rotation, my friends. It's already looking beautiful. It is pooling up with fat inside. And so, once again, super, super small dice, everybody. Okay? We're going to take each of these scallions and just first slice them in half lengthwise. Slice them in half lengthwise. Right? Go all the way through, Slice them in half. Excellent. Take your scallion, slice in half. Excellent. Well, actually, that one not so excellent. My knife slipped up a little bit on that one. Slice them in half. This guy I'm going to need to go ahead and separate really quickly. Slice it in half, and everybody slice it in half. It looks like a murder mystery. That's right. Yeah, every time this cutting board is wet, it looks like a crime scene. Okay, and slice in half. How am I doing? I'm okay. I've been doing better, but I think I'm doing okay more or less today. Chef, what do we put the bacon rack on top of the bacon to keep it flat and in contact with its own fat? Tarina, my answer is don't worry about it. As long as your cooking vessel isn't too wide, it will be plenty of surface area. Well, excuse me, it'll still be enough for it to pool up. So don't worry about it. You could do a press, but honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. So everybody, all of my scallion whites, nice and stacked up. The only thing is, I am going to stop for a second because it is time for us to go ahead and inspect the bacon. So, it's got about a few more seconds on it before we take it out of the oven. And the only thing that we want to do at this stage, everybody, is we're going to look at it, we're going to inspect it, see how far it's going, and give it a 90-degree rotation. Or excuse me, 180-degree rotation. Because ovens are oftentimes not even. Even if you think your oven is evenly heated up, my friends, I promise you it has hot spots, it has cool spots. By rotating it halfway through, we ensure that everything is just going to be coming out nice and even. So, kitchen timer going off now. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the bacon, give it a bit of a rotation, and we're going to put it back in for another 2 to 3 minutes. And that is where the final crisping of the bacon goes and takes place, everybody. So, let's go ahead and get this bacon out of the oven. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and give her a bit of a rotation. Look how beautiful she looks, but she is not crispy yet. I want nice, delicious, crispy bacon, my friends. And so I'm going to take this bad boy and put him back on in for another 2 to 3 minutes. In it all goes. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Make sure that nothing is burning in there. Set it, and we'll come back to it in a little bit, my friends. Okay, let's come back to this. Let's continue just cutting up my scallions. Chef, can I have some? Sure thing, underestimated monkey. Anytime. More than happy to help. All I'm going to go ahead and do is just, once again, really, really small dice. Jack, I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know what your question is at the moment. So everybody, all these lovely scallion whites. The reason we're not cooking with the scallion greens, they just tend to be a little bit better for garnishes. The whites, they hold up to cooking better. They're a little bit more dense. But you could also cut up the greens and that'll be fine too. Don't have to worry about it too much. But yes, I'm using these scallion whites, again, everybody, just because I have them. Your sofrito can be up to you. You can use any kind of allium that you would like. You could use poblanos instead of a green bell pepper. You could use an Anaheim chili if you have access to those. Your sofrito is infinitely customizable. The only thing that you have to keep in mind to make it feel kind of French, you do carrots, onions, celery. To make something feel Cajun or Creole, you do bell peppers, celery, onion. Right? And then to make it feel Latin American, my friends, it's all about the green bell pepper, it's all about the chili, it's all about the cilantro, okay? And it's all about the tomato in there as well. It's just like a very nice thing to have on hand. It's just like, you know, I don't want to really call it a cheat code as much as it's like, hey, if I want to make something vaguely taste from this part of the world, these are ingredients. This is a technique. This is an aromatic base that I can use. So my scallions nicely and beautifully cut up as well at the moment. And we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing with my lovely serranos. Or my jalapeno, excuse me. My serranos will be used just for the shrimp. So, jalapenos. Here we go, my friends. We're going to do seeds and all because I want it to have some flavor. I want it to be nice and spicy. Also, Jack, I have a chef's knife. Excuse me, just like a really, really long knife that my grandfather used back in the USSR that he made himself. It's a really, really beautiful knife. Okay, so the bacon is just about ready to come out once again. It's just been another 3 to 4 minutes or so. I wanted it nice and crispy. I don't want it too much more past that. If anything, I'm setting a timer for another 2 minutes. I looked at the bacon. I don't think it's ready to go yet. Everybody, similar to the bell pepper, thinly slice up your jalapeno. Thinly slice it into a bunch of little batons. If anything, this knife might be a little too big. It might be a little too clunky for this kind of a job. So we're going to go ahead and get something a little bit smaller. So in bell peppers, I do care about the seeds and I care about the white part because it's all spongy and kind of flavorless. But in the case of spicy chilies, the seeds and the white part, that is where most of the heat is carried, underestimated monkey. Okay? And so I want to keep as much of that heat in as possible. But because of how big the bell pepper is, we don't really need it. We don't need it, it's just spongy and bland, but in this case, it does have the additional heat. So that's why I took it out for the bell peppers, and I didn't take it out for my jalapenos. So I hope that helps. So everybody, once again, all that I'm doing is I'm taking this and slicing this up nice and thin. And yeah, I already, in retrospect, my choice to not use the whole bell pepper was the correct one. We're already gonna have a big pile of sofrito for today. We're not gonna have a shortage in the slightest. So gonna go ahead and get the rest of this sliced up into batons, my friends, and then we'll get it nicely and diced up. Nice and diced. Hello, buddy, come on. You can do it. Thank you. Almost done. And my bacon should also be just about ready to come on out. We have my lovely stacks of jalapeno batons. We're building the sofrito. The bacon is cooking. The beans are cooking for today as well. Okay, that looks wonderful, that looks beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and check on the bacon now. So let's head back to the stove. And we should probably also set up a plate with a little wild rack because we will be taking off the bacon and putting it on this thing just to cool down a little bit. Just to cool off and so that it doesn't pool up in its own oil because then it could get like a little bit fatty. Okay, so everybody, I'm gonna tell you with confidence, my bacon should be nice and beautiful and nice and crispy at this stage in the cooking process. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy out of the oven. And as you can tell, that is some perfectly cooked, perfectly crispy bacon, my friends, right? We see all of that fat and we got all of it done at once. This method is so much easier, everybody. It is so much easier than if you were to go ahead and make it all on the pan. But we gotta keep this bacon fat. This bacon fat, my friends, that is the magical component for today. So, if your bacon looks limp and flaccid, that is okay. It's supposed to look like that at this stage, everybody. It is not supposed to be perfectly crispy. It will crisp up as it cools down. So, don't think that you have to cook it more. This bacon is gonna be perfectly crispy. We just need to let it cool now. Just let it cool down, let it cool, let it do its thing, and you are going to get perfectly crispy and perfectly delicious bacon, my friends. So taking all of that bacon out, taking it off, you're gonna see how much it gets crispy with just a little bit of cooling. Okay, gonna just go ahead and line that up next to each other and get the last 2 strips of bacon. Nicely sorted and onto my cooling rack. Okay, so everybody, we've officially cooked up all of our bacon for today, and so all that we're going to go ahead and do is just to strain out all that lovely bacon fat. The bacon fat is the star of the show for today. The bacon fat is what's going to be used to make these refried beans really, really special. And so we have to strain them out into the final vessel, into the final resting place for my pot of beans. So let's go ahead and get that done now. I'm gonna go ahead and get my favorite pot, which is somewhere. Where is it? Hold on, where did my favorite pot go? Wait a second. Am I crazy? Did somebody put it away somewhere? Where is my favorite saucepan? Where is my favorite pot? I can't seem to find it. I have no idea where it is at the moment. Hold on. It's like a big pot. How could you like lose a massive pot like that? I don't think that's like possible. What is going on? Huh? It's not there. It's not up here. It's not in the oven. I did put it away somewhere else really, really briefly just to go ahead and get a little bit of space, but I have no idea where it is. Did I check the microwave? No, it's not in there, Taza, and you're supposed to be my moderator. Guys, some mod. Everybody, new mod applications open now. Everybody, tell me why you should be a moderator in my lovely Twitch chat. I want to hear it. I want to see it. Taza, your mod privileges have been officially revoked. That's it. You're done. You are done. Am I going insane? Am I going crazy? Aha! Somebody, and that somebody is not me, by the way, put it under the sink. I would never do such a thing. Guys, these are not convincing arguments. I need more. We need more. I gotta have somebody to replace Taza. Thank you. So, let's go ahead and get this pot right here. And this is gonna be the final resting place, of course, of my beans. I'm going to go ahead and add all of my bacon fat into this pan, my friends. It's gonna get beautiful. It's gonna get nice and delicious. Okay, it's gonna be truly, truly wonderful. So, let's go ahead and add that on in. If you would excuse me. There we go. Let's pour in all of that gorgeous bacon fat, my friends. All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. All of it goes in. All of it gets poured in. All of it will be used in service of the best refried beans in the Northeast, quite frankly. Okay? It's going to be delicious. It's going to be smoky. It's going to be nice and flavorful. Okay? That is the real magic behind my refried beans. That is what makes my refried beans special. Okay, my refried beans are special, and I'm tired of acting like they're not. So let's go ahead and get just the very last of it, every last drop of all of that beautiful bacon fat, my friends. All of it in there, all of it gone. Excellent. And then this is the real magic for today. I'm gonna quickly rinse off my knife. But yeah, the best refried beans on Twitch, the best refried beans that, quite frankly, anybody has ever seen. Okay, they're gonna be flavorful, they're gonna be delicious, they're gonna be nice and creamy. Can't really be upset about that, can you? And then the actual bacon strips themselves, that will mostly be garnish for today. They'll just be garnished, they'll just go right on top. They're not gonna get mixed in, they'll compromise the texture of it really. So, if anything, I'd prefer to use the bacon strips for something else, but we'll just be using it as a garnish, and it'll be delicious. The reason why I don't really want to mix the refried beans with the bacon is just because when the crispy bacon gets mixed in, it's like you get like these little hard lumps inside instead of it being like a nice crispy topping. So I like to garnish with them. Okay, everybody, my bacon is cooked. My beans are still cooking. We're working on making the sofrito, the aromatic base for today. Okay, my bacon has come out of the oven. It's nice and beautiful, nice and crispy. And you can see now, by the way, it's holding up on its own, right? It's no longer, well, it just kind of snapped in half for a second. But the more that you let it cool, the crispier that it will get. So resist the urge to cook this more. I love bacon so much. It's so yummy. Nice and tasty. Not to be like, ooh, let it bacon about it, but I just really like bacon. Okay, so we got to keep on making the sofrito, everybody. We have no time to go ahead and stop on this. Resist the urge to snack. Taza, I made some freshly cooked bacon, and so, you know, I will not resist that urge. Okay? Oh no, I am being graded about it. I'm doing the, whoa, bacon. I can't help myself with bacon. I love bacon. Bacon is life. Oh, that even hurts to say out loud. Terrible. Okay, back to making the sofrito for today. Everybody, all of my lovely jalapenos, we're going to go ahead and once again, nice fine dice on it. We want it to be nicely and beautifully and finely diced and get it all ready to go for today. This pile is a little bit too big. That stack is a little bit too big. My stacks are big, but not that was too much for me to handle. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab it. And once again, everybody, nice small dice. Chef, what are your thoughts on turkey bacon? Well, Jack, my thoughts on turkey bacon are the following. If people like turkey bacon, if they need it for some religious reasons or whichever, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, I don't particularly like it. I don't like the texture. I don't like the taste of it very much. I find that it's oftentimes a little bit too cardboardy, right? And there's just many more really, really beautiful like smoked products that I love more. And so I don't really like other products being made to look like something that they're not. Right? There's a lot of really, really good like smoked poultry out there, really nice like smoked turkey legs and stuff. But like turkey bacon, it doesn't really scratch that itch for me. It doesn't really taste the same at all. So my thoughts on it are people can eat and do whatever they want. I just think there's better smoked poultry out there. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep on going, keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. Get all of it nicely and finely diced, my friends. How do you get those slices so thin? Well, I'm Q Returns. Welcome on in. Lovely to have you. Second of all, we get them so thin because we have a nice sharp knife. We have a nice sharp knife and we're being nice and patient. We're not rushing this process. We're not going too fast. Right? We're being nice and patient and we're letting the knife do the work. So, if your slices aren't as thin as mine, you're probably rushing too much and not paying attention to your technique enough. So slow it down, make sure your knife is nice and sharp, and you'll be great. Yes, underestimated monkey. The stream is sponsored by the color green tonight. Sure thing. Okay, let's go ahead and continue dicing this bad boy. We're gonna finish doing all of the prep for today's sofrito. It's gonna be nice and delicious, nice and aromatic, my friends. It's just gonna melt in. Also, Mr. Blackstar, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Hope you're having a good day today. So just keep going through the stack, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then the last thing that we'll really need to work on for the sofrito is gonna be my onion. We also have to char the tomato and probably blend it down too. Ooh, that is gonna be a little bit tricky. Or we could just do like a chopped up tomato for today. No, we should probably do a full pureed tomato. I think that'll be optimal. Okay, and I have a few big chunks in there, so I'm gonna go back on through. Just really make sure that there's no massive pieces, because everybody remember, this is supposed to be the aromatic base. It's supposed to all be really finely diced. The goal is not to bite into chunks of it. The goal is for it to really heavily melt into everything else, okay? So, grab it all, pick it up, into the bowl it goes. So what do we have in here so far? I have my scallions, I have my bell pepper, I have my jalapenos in there. Okay, my jalapenos are stuff I already had in my fridge. That was some of my inspiration for this today. I just wanted to get rid of a lot of my existing leftovers. And then everybody, last but not least, I have an onion that's too damn big. This is the size of my cutting board. This is larger than my hands. So we're gonna be reasonable about this. We're gonna go ahead, take this guy, and we're gonna slice him right down the middle, peel him up, and then go ahead and cut them up into quarters. Also, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Hello to everybody that's coming on in now. We'll do a little recap on what we're doing in just a moment. Let's go ahead and peel this massive, hulking onion. Okay? This thing is too big for its own good. Ooh, Jesus. That is a lot of onion. This onion cost like $2. That's how big it was. Okay. And let's go ahead and just cut that into quarters to make slicing it up a little bit easier. Okay, everybody, so once again, what is the goal? The goal is for this onion to basically melt down. We don't want massive chunks of onion. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody hopping on in? I see that we've been rated. Hello, welcome on in, everybody. If you'd like to see what we're doing, exclamation mark menu. Okay, and now the goal, once again, this is for my sofrito. This is for my aromatic base for both my beans and my rice. The goal is to get it really, 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 really finely diced. And so, we're gonna be doing the onion fan method, my friends. Onion, root attached, head cut off, it's already been decapitated. We're gonna make a bunch of parallel incisions, all the way through, 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 just like so. Give it a bit of a rotation, my friends, and then it will go ahead and make some even more incisions on this side. It's okay if it falls apart a little bit. We'll come back to it. Bunch of incisions, fan it all out, and now everybody, we make the dice itself. Thin, 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 all the way. No massive chunks for today, my friends. We want it to all be nice and thin. We want it to melt down. We want it to contribute its lovely sweetness into the sofrito itself. I don't want massive chunks of onion, okay? So, slice it up, 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 all the way through, my friends. How long have they been in the pot? Good question, World Builders Haven. I only do my beans in a pressure cooker. At the moment, we have a pressure cooker going. We're going to do a bit of a recap session in just a second. We'll talk about everything that we have going on, and we'll talk about what we have left to do. But I love using my pressure cooker for beans. Because everybody, canned beans, they're too expensive for what they are, and you don't get to control the texture as much. I want to get you all into the habit of making your own dried beans from scratch every single time. Okay, so that is 1/4 of the onion that's already been cut up, and I think I'm truthfully only going to need 1 more quarter. I don't think I'm gonna need the whole thing. Do I have a Christmas recipe? I mean, I don't know. I've never really I need you to understand I grew up Jewish, right? I grew up ethnically Jewish. We never grew up, we never celebrated Christmas, but we celebrated New Year's. What Russian Jews, especially in Brooklyn, did was we celebrated New Year's, we had a New Year's tree, and we exchanged gifts at midnight. So we basically recreated Christmas, but it's not Christmas. Something like that. Okay, so everybody, we're gonna go ahead and make a bunch of parallel incisions one more time. Fan out the onion, fan out the onion, fan out the onion, all the way, all the way. Fan him out, show him who's boss. Do we need to dice just as small for other aromatic bases? Yes, Soren, because the goal of the aromatic base is not to get big chunks of it. If you want big chunks of it, by all means, be my guest. But at least for my purposes, I want them super, super small, super finely diced, okay? So make some more incisions. This one isn't as important, and dice it, dice it, dice it, all the way through, all the way through, all the way, all the way. But yeah, that's a very weird Russian Jewish tradition that we had growing up, at least. So everybody keep dicing, keep dicing, keep dicing, keep dicing, keep going, all the way. And yeah, I think we're only really gonna need just 2 onion quarters. This onion is so big, we already have scallions in there. I'm gonna tell you right now with some confidence that that is enough alliums for today. And why am I not crying? Really good question. It's because my knife is sharp. Everybody, if you cry when you're cutting onions, your knife is so dull that you're crushing all of the cells and it's releasing all of the stuff that is making you cry. When you have a nice sharp knife, you will never cry when cutting up onions. So everybody, look at all of my lovely sofrito for today. Once again, bell pepper, onion, scallions, okay? And some jalapenos inside. This is gonna be the aromatic base for both the rice as well as the beans, my friends. This is what's going to really, really give it a lot of flavor today. And everything has been diced up as finely as we reasonably can, just so that it all melts in. Because the goal is not for it to be in massive chunks. I'm gonna go ahead and wash off my knife really quickly. We're gonna do the rest of the vegetable prep, and we'll do a bit of a recap session. So, is everybody paying attention? I wanna hear a nice, resounding, yes, chef, please, and thank you. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do a bit of a recap. We'll talk about all the different things we have going on, what we're doing today, why we're doing it. Okay, so everybody, today we are making some really, really lovely refried beans. We're making some refried beans. We're making my signature refried beans, my bacon refried beans. We're going to be doing some Spanish rice, and then we'll also be doing some sauteed shrimp. Everything that we're doing today is built off of my existing leftovers that I had in my fridge. I had leftover bacon from the previous stream. I had leftover jalapenos, and I had leftover cilantro. This is what I want you all to get into the habit of doing. You cannot make everything that you always want at home. You cannot. You can't just go, okay, I want Thai food today. Then tomorrow I want Korean food. Then I want Mexican food. Then I want Indian food. You cannot. You can't just be jumping all around all over the place. You need to make a compromise between what you have and what you want. I'm trying to teach you all the essential skills for how to look at a piece of produce and think about all the different things that you can do with it. So that was my inspiration for today. Jalapenos, bacon, cilantro, and thus I've devised this menu. So what do we currently have? Well, if we go to the stove, what I did was I made some perfectly cooked, perfectly crispy bacon, my friends. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and actually just show that to you right now. And I just have it over a little cooling rack, and we did this in the oven. Okay, I love doing batches of bacon in the oven because it doesn't take up that much space. It's so much easier. And this is what makes my refried beans special, everybody. All of the bacon fat is inside of the saucepan at the moment. All of the bacon fat is gonna go towards the refried beans and make it really delicious. In my pressure cooker are my pinto beans with some vegetable scraps, with some sazon, with some chicken bouillon. It's gonna be lovely, it's gonna be phenomenal. We're making the sofrito. Okay, everybody, in every single cuisine, you have an aromatic base. In French cooking, you have the idea of the mirepoix, carrots, onions, and celery. In Cajun Creole cooking, you have the Holy Trinity, celery, onions, bell peppers. In Latin American cooking, you have your sofrito. In mine, I have jalapenos, I have onions, I have scallions. We're gonna be doing garlic, cilantro, and tomato as well. But the garlic is gonna get added later on, so it's not gonna get directly mixed into this. So, onion, scallion, bell pepper, jalapeno, all of that inside of this bowl. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop that behind me for now because we have no use for it at this point in time. Okay, and then let's go ahead and process some of the other vegetables that we need for today. The tomato, I want this to go towards the rice, my friends. Chef, is a veggie used cooked rarely because of, Jack, I have no idea what you're asking me, I'm sorry. We have these lovely tomatoes, and so I'm contemplating whether or not I should char them. I want to go ahead and actually add that extra bit of smoky taste into my final rice dish, into my final Spanish rice. But is that actually worth the effort, is the question. Is charring them worth the effort at this moment? You know what? I'm gonna say no today. I'm gonna say no. We're just gonna slice them. We're gonna go ahead and get them ready. We're gonna blend them. And so I'm not gonna go ahead and bother with all of that. How do I speak so fast? Good question. I'm a professional esports commentator for 5 years already. So I love talking, and I have 30 milligrams of Vyvanse in me. And I'm autistic. So you combine those three things, and then you have me. Okay? So, tomatoes, we're just gonna get them ready to get blended for today. No charring business. No funny charring business today. Have I ever hosted an auction? Not quite. One of these days, though. So, all I'm doing, everybody, I slice my tomatoes in half, and we're going to go ahead and pop the cores out of each of my lovely tomatoes. Pop the cores out. Pop the cores out. Chef, can we still hear you commentating esports live? Oh, absolutely. Hint, hint, next weekend. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet, but I have a very nice big event coming up. So please join my Discord, !Discord, or follow me on Twitter for any updates involved with that. So all I did, I just cut up my tomatoes so that they'll blend up a little bit easier. Okay, just slice them in half or so, something like this. Just 2 small vine tomatoes. Use the best kind of tomatoes that you can get. I got these because these were $1 a pound at my supermarket. These were the cheapest tomatoes at the moment, and thus that is why I chose these for today. Okay. I'm gonna have to go ahead and make a little bit of space for myself. I'm gonna go get my blending station all set up and all ready to go for today, my friends. I'm still gonna be using my little tiny pathetic NutriBullet for the time being. And the reason for that is because the big blender, the big Vitamix, it is a little bit too big for such a small task. I don't really want to go ahead and dirty an entire Vitamix just for that. And so, I have to go ahead and now figure out wherever I put my little blender, because truthfully, at the moment, I have, is it all the way back there? Do I have to go reach all the way behind me? I think I sure do. Okay. I thought that I wouldn't be using my little NutriBullet again, and then I realized that my Vitamix is just honestly way too big for most jobs. So I'll go ahead and get my blender cup. Awesome. Oh, everybody, that beeping sound, that is my pressure cooker. It is done. All that we need to do is let it naturally release pressure for 20 minutes or so. So, natural pressure release, it is still boiling inside of that pot. It's going to slightly cool it down, and it's going to finish cooking the beans themselves. Okay? Just going to go ahead and get my blender all set up and all ready to go. And we're just going to go ahead and blend down the tomatoes and make a lovely little tomato puree. Is there a vegetable that I rarely cook with because it's difficult to use in a dish? Jack, I don't cook with a lot of broccoli. I get kind of bored of broccoli. I want to be able to figure out more things I can do with it. So I think that's the best answer to the question. The answer would be broccoli for me. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and load this little guy up. Load him up, load him up, load him up, load him up, load them up, load them up, and we're going to blend this bad boy down. We're going to blend it down. We're going to go ahead and get it nice and smooth, nice and homogeneous. We're going to get it nice and pureed, everybody. Okay. Also, Steampunk Ocelot, welcome on in. Yeah, cooking seasonally, cooking depending on what around you is the cheapest. That is what I'm trying to do in a way. Right? I want to get you all into that kind of a habit. So, tomatoes inside of my blender, and we're going to go ahead and blend this down until it's all nice and pureed. Blend it down, blend it down, blend it down. Get the job done. Get all of the skins, get all of the seeds. Blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it. And all of the skins, all of the seeds, everything nice and beautifully pureed, my friends. Okay, and we're going to be going ahead and using this, and it seems like it ended up leaking inside of the blender. Oh, so annoying. Okay, Sayada Fire, you said to cut acidic stuff like tomatoes and lemons, you should use serrated knives to not damage the blade's edge and have more stability in the cut. Sayada Fire, I'm actually going to disagree with you right now, and I'm going to say why. First of all, this is the first time I'm hearing of anybody claiming that acidity can damage the sharpness of a blade's edge. I don't believe I've heard anybody say that before. Typically, you're mechanically not wanting to cut things like bones. You don't want to cut through something like wood, right? Because that stuff would be very abrasive and very damaging. I would love to see any literature that you might have that would suggest that acidity could be bad for any blade's edge, especially for a stainless steel edge. Second of all, when you say it has a little bit more stability in the cut, I would argue that the stability that you need is just purely by having a nice sharp knife. My knives are nice and sharp. I have as much stability as I'm looking for. If you feel like your knife is slipping away, that's because your knife isn't sharp enough to actually penetrate through the skin. I actually don't like serrated knives because unless you get them professionally sharpened with a very specific mechanism, serrated knives are almost impossible to sharpen because of all of the different grooves. So, my answer for you is, I actually disagree with you. I disagree with you, and I would like to see, I would like to hear about otherwise. So, I don't really know about acidity actually affecting the sharpness of something or the integrity of an edge. Right? I don't know if that's real. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get that pot back onto the stove. Lovely. So, everybody, we're going to go ahead and continue with the rest of the prep. My tomatoes are nice and blended. We have to slice some cilantro still. We have to slice up some serrano for today. We have to still peel some shrimp. We still have a lot of work cut out for us today. Okay, so, Sayada Fire, I apologize for disagreeing with you so harshly. I'm just, curious. Okay, I'm gonna have a little sip of water. The beans, they're naturally releasing their pressure. We're about to make the sofrito. We're about to work on the rice. And we can go ahead and continue. Is there a fat you don't like to cook with? Yes, Jack. I don't like corn oil. Corn oil, while a neutral oil, I think it tastes horrible. I think corn oil just is incredibly, incredibly unpleasant. I can immediately taste it in something. I do not like corn oil. Do not like it. Do not recommend it. Not my thing at all. I don't know if somebody can sell me on it in some way, but corn oil has just never, ever been my thing. And the smell, that's right, the smell of corn oil is really, really brutal. So that is a good question, Jack. What oil do I use? In my kitchen, I keep canola, peanut oil through my high heat, extra virgin olive oil, and then always butter. Right? Those are my 4 go-to oils. So, my sofrito is basically done. Let's go ahead and work on a bunch, and I do mean a bunch of garlic for today, everybody. We're going to need garlic in every single dish that we have coming on up. We're going to need garlic in the beans, we're going to need garlic in the rice, and we're going to need some garlic with the shrimp. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all that started. Let's get all of that prepped. Let's get all of that stuff ready to go. Every single component of today is going to be packed with flavor. Everything is going to be packed with garlic. So I have all of that out. And everybody, to get the skins of the garlic off of the regular cloves, all that we're going to go ahead and do is just take a lovely little bench scraper, take it, and smash it back down. So, they explained it to you at school, so you thought you'd suggest it? I see. So, here's the thing. Oftentimes, people, and I'm not specifically talking about you, I'm talking about institutional teaching, they, especially when it comes to food, there is so much stuff that people just kind of said one day, and then they're like, okay, great, this is now really important that we'll keep on repeating it throughout the generations. A very good example of this is this rule in French cooking, which everybody has already debunked, where they're like, oh, you should never use black pepper in a bechamel. You should only use white pepper. And it was purely because somebody decided that it should have absolutely no contrast in there whatsoever. They decided that a bechamel should be nice and perfectly white at all times. And it just comes from a place of misinformation. And so there's also a lot of pseudoscience when it comes to cooking, right? A lot of people say, oh, salting this can make this more firm. A lot of people, they say, you know, also, wait, did we have a follower goal for 1,100? Is that what just happened? Do we have 1,100 followers already? Whoa, cool. But yeah, in cooking especially, there's a lot of pseudoscience. Aren't the flavors very different? Well, yes, Tarina. But the thing is, they said that you can't use black pepper in a bechamel because the white pepper, something, like, you can absolutely use black pepper in a bechamel. You absolutely can. They taste completely different, right? There's just a lot of pseudoscience in the kitchen. People throw around words like emulsification, right? They use words like emulsification. They use words like mild reaction, and then they misuse it all the time, okay? It's a matter of priorities depending on how important the appearance is. But the reality is this, black pepper doesn't even make the appearance worse in any way, right? Like, I've never like saw like a bechamel with black pepper that was visually unappealing in some way. So, I'm going ahead and I'm taking all of the bottoms off of my lovely garlic cloves. And so everybody, these will be used for both the beans and the rice, as well as the shrimp that we'll be working on. For the shrimp itself, we're actually just going to be slicing up the garlic because I want little slices of garlic. But otherwise, everybody, as always, we will be using my favorite kitchen tool, the one and only garlic press. Everybody should own a garlic press. Look how fast it makes your job. Ready for this? We take a little garlic clove, we put it in and press it. That's 1. We put in a garlic clove and we press it, and that's 2. We put in a garlic clove, everybody, we press it, and that's 3. Garlic presses are so easy. Everybody should have a garlic press. They're lovely, incredible kitchen tools. Okay? They're so efficient. So much Western European cuisine is based in elitism. Absolutely, it is steampunk ocelot. And that's because so much of it is descended from very specific royal traditions that have trickled down into different parts of society. And it's just a lot of things that people just kind of said one day. So, all of that garlic, my friends, nice and processed, nice and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and wash off my garlic press, poke it with a little brush, and throw it inside of my dishwasher. Throw that inside of my dishwasher, get that out of here, get that out of the way, and we have no use for that for the time being. Okay, so everybody, this is the garlic for the beans and the rice. I'm going to go ahead and put that behind me. I'm going to set that aside. And then the rest of this garlic is going to be for the shrimp. Okay, and this garlic, I want it nice and sliced. I want to be able to bite into these little lovely slices of garlic, and so we're going to very, very delicately, thinly slice it. Slice it, slice it, slice it. Nice, lovely, thin slivers, my friends. Oh, underestimated monkey. I do know what that's in reference to. I forgot the movie name, but I do know what it's in reference to. So, nice, sharp knife, everybody, and just thin, beautiful slices. Just like so. Goodfellas, that's right. Not Godfather, Goodfellas. That's the one. Jack, that is not a good lesson that your chemistry teacher taught you. That cooking is 90% chemistry and 10% luck, and if you fall through a tea can still go wrong. That is just not true. Jack, that is the opposite of everything that I'm teaching people here. I'm teaching people here that there is so much room for creativity and so much room for understanding techniques. There is no luck involved in cooking at all, other than sometimes your produce has gone bad, right? Like, things don't just sometimes happen for no reason in a kitchen. Things happen very much so for a reason. There is no luck when it comes to cooking, Jack. That is the opposite of what we talk about here. So, all of this garlic, ready to go for today. And also, following a recipe to a T and everything is chemistry, that's not even that true either. There is surprisingly less mechanisms happening than some people think that it actually does. There's a lot more room for error. There's a lot more, you have a lot more wiggle room in things than you'd actually think. Okay. When spices were first introduced, the poor folks couldn't afford spices. The spices were cool and your food was high quality. Yeah, steampunk ocelot. We're talking about how when spices were expensive, royalty went ahead and this was considered fashionable. When spices got more accessible, it started being associated with poor people and immigrants, and thus a lot of fine dining became all about delicate flavors and unseasoned things, so on and so forth. Okay. Garlic is all sliced. Garlic is all ready to go for today. Everybody, I do believe we can actually begin the sautéing process of the sofrito, specifically for the beans. Because the beans have already, they've cooked. They're just about ready to come on out. Let's go ahead and begin the sautéing, everybody. So, I have my big, my beautiful, my lovely little saucepan. I'm actually just going to zoom in a little bit more, slightly adjust my camera focus. Please bear with me, everybody. Okay, excellent. And so, the key for this, my friends, is nice medium-low heat. Be patient. Don't blast it with heat. Don't attack it with heat. Nice medium-low. If we take this and we blast it with the heat, first of all, what's going to end up happening is all the little proteins that are in the bacon fat, they're going to end up scorching. Second of all, we're going to develop hot spots and cool spots. Okay, medium heat, low and slow, and your stainless steel pan is going to get perfectly heated all the way through. You got the recipes on Discords, by the way? Well, underestimate a monkey. There's no recipes here. This is all technique. This is all theory, right? There is nothing here that is a recipe that is being taught, and so I don't post my recipes anywhere. Everybody, nice medium-low heat. We have all of my delicious bacon fat, okay? All of that bacon fat is inside. All of it is going to be slowly heating on up. I'm going to be going ahead and just getting rid of this aluminum foil. I'm going to go ahead and get that into the trash because we are done with it, and get rid of that sheet tray as well. So everybody, medium-low heat. We're going to get that bacon fat nice and hot. We're going to add the sofrito. We're going to beautifully saute it. It's going to come out delicious. It's going to come out excellent. In the meantime, we're waiting for the beans to finish releasing the pressure. We have to slice the serrano. We have to prep the shrimp. We still have to do all of the prep and all the work for the rice as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's do actually, I think I'll hold off on washing the rice until we have stuff in the pan and sauteing so that you guys have a little something to look at. I think we could just start slicing up the serrano for my shrimp. Okay, my pan is slowly heating on up. I have one lovely serrano chili. And serranos and jalapenos, everybody, they're super variable in terms of their spice. Some days they taste like a bell pepper. Some days they're really, really spicy as well. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to thinly slice the serrano. And I don't think I'm going to need all of this serrano for today. Right? I think I'll just save the rest of it for something else later on. This is a very small amount of shrimp that I will be preparing today, my friends. But ultimately, serrano, garlic, lime juice, can't really go wrong with all that. Okay. That is going to be more than enough serrano for today, my friends. I'm going to be adding it to the same container as my sliced garlic, since it'll all go in together. Just take that bad boy and dump them on in. Beautiful. This is all going to be used for the shrimp. This bad boy I can go ahead and put into the fridge. No use for that at all. And what else do we need to go ahead and do together today? We have to slice up the cilantro. We have to slice up the scallions. Chef, don't touch your face. Godzillas, I will absolutely 100% forget about what you just advised me and touch my face in 30 minutes anyways, and then absolutely hate myself for it. We have to wash the rice, get that ready. Everything is going to be delicious. Everything is going to be nice and seasoned. I'm really, really excited about all of it. Yeah, we're just keeping things really, really basic. We're keeping things really simple today. If you have any cooking questions at any point, feel free to ask me. So, everybody, once again, my pan slowly heating up. Nice medium heat. Okay? My community is insane. Clap. Thank you. My community is a little bit insane, I think. Like in a good way. Somebody's saying this, I think. Okay? So, what is the order of operations? The first thing that needs to happen is I want everything to get nice and golden brown. Also, deep sea fission, don't worry about it. If anybody's out of line, I'll make sure to correct it. The first thing that needs to happen is we need to properly saute the sofrito. The onions, the bell pepper, the jalapenos, as well as my scallion whites. I want it to get really, really beautiful golden. I want it to get nice and flavorful. We're going to go ahead and get it nice and developed. Next, we're going to add in the garlic after that point. We're going to go ahead and add in the beans. We're going to let the whole thing stew. We're going to let the beans get nice and creamy. We're going to let the beans get really, really soft and wonderful. Okay? And then by that point, we'll mash it all up. What's the time then? It is currently 6:30 p.m. EDT. Hope that answers your question. Afterwards, we'll do the rice, really similar thing, except we'll have to be cooking down the tomato so that it forms like a really lovely little paste. We'll add in the washed rice. We'll cook it all together really gently. And then last but not least, we'll be sauteing the shrimp. So, we have a work cut out ahead of us, my friends. We still have a lot of things that we need to go ahead and do. My pan, we don't need it to be too hot, especially remember that it's bacon fat in there. Bacon fat has the little proteins, little teeny tiny proteins in there that have just naturally come out as fond. It's not a completely clarified fat, so it's gonna quickly start smoking. So now we add in a bunch of my beautiful sofrito and add it right to that hot bacon fat, my friends. Add it in, add it all in. The rest of the sofrito will be for the rice. Add it in and generously season it all with some salt. Also, Steampunk Ocelot, guess what? This channel is all about talking about the intersection of class and cuisine. I'm teaching people how to cook at home. I talk about home cooking theories so much. Season it. Nice couple of big pinches of kosher salt. And everybody, I need you all to listen to me. I need to hear yes, chef, right now, please and thank you from everybody watching. Any recipe that tells you, oh, saute it until it's golden brown, caramelize it for 4 minutes, they have no idea what they're talking about. That is nonsense. It was just written and posted out there. Listen to me and listen to me now. If you have finely diced vegetables, especially onions, bell peppers, they need time to properly saute, to properly caramelize. Vegetables are full of water. The majority of their weight is pure water weight. This is a 3-stage cooking process. You first heat it up enough that it collapses. Once it collapses, it releases liquid. The second stage is releasing as much, it's evaporating as much of that liquid as possible. And then only when the liquid is evaporated can it actually brown in all of that fat. Without first evaporating that liquid, and you say, oh, saute it, high heat, 2 minutes, you get no meaningful caramelization, you get no meaningful development. So you can tell, listen to the sound. It's no longer sizzling. The liquid on the bottom is cloudy. What does that tell us? That tells us that we're not sauteing. That tells us that we're actively releasing the moisture from the vegetables. And so it needs plenty of time. It needs time. We need to let it do its thing, everybody. Be patient. Be patient, be patient, be patient. Okay, so be patient. It's not going to burn. We're going to go ahead and work on Mr. Rice right now in the meantime. I have some lovely rice. Everybody, sushi rice, not traditionally used in Mexican cuisine. You typically have like a medium or long grain rice. But this is what I have at home at the moment. And so we will be doing it. We'll be using it. We'll be washing off all of the excess starch from it and just getting it ready to go for today. So let's go ahead and begin. What we are going to need is to get our pot in which we'll be cooking it. Everything seems to have released the pressure that is inside of my pot. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly release the pressure valve. Everybody, let's go ahead and get a nice generous amount of rice. Or actually, Is this pot a little bit too big? I think this pot might be a little bit too big. This is not going to be the pot that we'll make the rice in, but everybody, there is a reason why I'm using a non-stick pot for this rice. The reason why I'm using a non-stick pot is because of its poor heat conductivity. It actually makes it a lot more difficult to burn the bottom. Because this is a seasoned rice with tomato and all this other really lovely stuff on it, this kind of rice really, really easily burns, my friends. Okay? And so, by cooking it in a non-stick pot, it will really, really mitigate its ability to burn. So, World Builders Haven, you ask, does different rice taste different at all? Yes. Some of it is more aromatic than others, and they have different concentrations of different starches. Everybody, I will be teaching you how to make perfect stovetop rice every single time at home. Okay? We don't have to worry about ratios. We don't have to worry about measurements. I will teach you how to feel for the perfect pot of rice. But right now, my only intention is just purely to wash this little guy out. We want to wash out the excess starch so that it's not too gloopy. And in the meantime, you all can watch my sofrito. We're going to be passing it through water 7 or 8 different times until the water runs nice and clear, everybody. Okay? So back to the stove. You can go ahead and watch that happening. I will be reading chat. Jack, I'm 21 years old. Also, Joy TV, you asked me, can you use a mesh strainer to wash the rice? And the answer is no, you cannot, because the goal is to submerge the rice with water. If you were to use a mesh strainer, what's going to end up happening is the rice isn't actually covered with water. You're only washing just a few of the grains. You have to really, really make sure it's nice and soaked. Okay? So important, nice and covered. Nice and submerged with water, Droid. If you were just to use a mesh strainer, it doesn't actually cover everything. So, 7 or 8 times, I'm going to be passing it through. It came out better than the normal way. Well, World Builders Haven, I'm glad that I could provide. But yes, everybody, I'll be teaching you all how to make the perfect stovetop rice every single time, without fail, with as much consistency as possible. Okay. You don't need a rice cooker. Rice cookers are very, very nice if you're, eating rice all the time and you want something just to keep it nice and warm. But me personally, stovetop rice every single day of the week. No rice camera, I know. Underestimated monkey, I know. One day we'll have a stovetop camera. I promise by the end of, or a sink camera, excuse me. By the end of this year, we'll have a sink camera. Okay. Washing it out. Washing it out, washing it out, getting all of the starch off of this little guy. And then I'll just come back to my lovely vegetables and just make sure that nothing in this pan is burning, but it's still releasing water, everybody. It is still evaporating liquid. This is a bunch of finely diced wet vegetables. Vegetables are mostly water weight. You need to give them time. Give them time, give them a little bit of effort, give them some love, and it's all going to come together. So, my rice, I want it nice and washed, and then we're just going to have it straining with water, just so that it doesn't absorb any additional water, right? I want to be able to be really, really specific with the amount of water going into this, and so, straining this is really, really important for that reason. So, Certifier, in that case, that might just be a good reminder for me to speak a little bit more slowly. That is a criticism that I often get. And so, that is absolutely okay and fair of you to voice. So, I do apologize in that case. But I also do just talk very, very quickly. Okay? Everybody, my rice is nice and washed. And so, we'll be coming back to this little guy in a little bit. I'm just going to show you. Right? Nicely washed rice. I have it sitting over a strainer so it doesn't pick up any excess liquid. That way we get to really control the amount of moisture that goes into it. So let it strain, let it do its own thing. Just let it go for a little bit until we're ready to cook with it. Now, everybody, the water has evaporated from the vegetables. There is less water in the pan. Listen to the music. Listen to it. Listen to the sound of it. It is beginning to saute. It's beginning to sizzle again. That is the indication that we've finally entered the third cooking stage, the sautéing stage, my friends. We have all of these lovely vegetables cooking inside of all of that bacon fat. It's getting nice and aromatic. It's getting nice and delicious. And we want these vegetables soft. We want these vegetables to cook down. We want these vegetables to break down and to flavor my lovely beans, my friends. Of course, certified. I'm happy to help out. I'm here to make everybody feel welcomed. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put this back behind me. My pot of beans is ready. We can go look at the pot of beans that we have. Perfectly cooked. Beautiful little pinto beans. Excellent. And so, I guess we could just do a reveal of that in just a second. So 1 second, please. I'll show you my lovely pot of beans. Let's get this out of the way for a second. And upsy daisy, my lovely pot of beans. Perfectly cooked pinto beans, my friends, in a pool with sazon, with all of my vegetable scraps. I realize that this camera angle doesn't actually show it off all that well. Okay, and so the only goal I have now is I want to go ahead and get rid of all of the vegetable scraps. Okay? All of the scraps, all the different aromatics that we have inside, they've all contributed to my final pot of beans. And so we're going to be getting rid of them. We're going to be getting rid of them because they've already done everything for us that they needed to. So I'll just be picking that out, right? Getting rid of my bell pepper, getting rid of my cilantro stems, all of that good stuff. It's all done a wonderful job for us today. So pick it up, get it out of here, get it out of here. My scallion bottoms, my onion tops, all of it has to go. All of it's got to go because we've got places to be. There we go. So, in the meantime, my sofrito, it's all going. It's looking phenomenal. It's looking beautiful. Okay, that seems to be the majority of my vegetable scraps. If there's a few more, we'll pick them out later. And so all that we're doing, my friends, is we're waiting for my sofrito to get nice and browned, nice and caramelized, nice and flavorful. And then we'll be going ahead and adding the beans in there. Everybody, I need to voice something to you right now. Save that cooking liquid. Save that cooking liquid. Save that cooking liquid. And I'm going to say that to you again and again and again. That cooking liquid, the liquid that the beans cooked in, it is full of all of the starches. It is full of all of the proteins that have been expelled in the cooking process. As it cooks down, as that liquid boils down, it's going to get thick, it's going to get viscous, and it's going to get delicious. That is what gives your refried beans viscosity. That's what's going to make them nice and smooth. You need that liquid. That liquid has so much flavor inside of it. It is so functional. Do not discard that cooking liquid under any circumstance. Look at my beautiful sofrito. My sofrito, it is sautéing away. It looks wonderful at the moment. Okay? It's getting there. It's getting nice and browned. It's getting nice and golden. My vegetables are getting nice and soft. All of that flavor is just dissolving inside of that bacon fat as well simultaneously. The bacon fat mounted buffalo sauce was a wild idea, and by wild I mean mad genius. Why, thank you, Serena. I'm very proud of it. I think it was a very good idea in the moment. And in the meantime, I'm going to have a little piece of bacon to snack on. Am I going to make tortillas to go with this? I will not. We'll build saving. We're just going to do rice and shrimp. That'll be the menu for today. Lovely. Oh, I love bacon so much. Okay, everybody, the sofrito, it is beginning to get there. Slowly but surely, we're beginning to develop some really, really serious color, some really serious browning. So we just got to keep pushing it. Keep pushing it for a little bit longer, okay? We're gonna get the whole thing nice and golden. That is what's going to make our beans nice and special for today. We got the bacon fat in there, this lovely sofrito, the seasoned beans. Chef, would you make fresh pasta on 3 months? Nope, I will not check, because I don't think of fresh pasta as a home food. I think of it as a novelty. I think of it as a cooking project. But I will not make fresh pasta on the stream because it is not a realistic thing for people to make on weeknights on their own. Okay, sometimes we'll do celebratory stuff, maybe one day, but for the time being, the goal is still to teach people how to cook at home. Okay, everybody, the sofrito has a really, really good amount of color already developed on it. We don't need to push it that much more. We're going to go in with half of the garlic. The rest of the garlic will be used for the rice today. Okay, so half of my little portioned amount of garlic. Oh, hello. You, I want later on. I was a little too hasty. Get the garlic in there, and also get the garlic nicely and beautifully sauteed inside of all of that bacon fat. Get it in there, get it to do its thing. Get it in there, get it in there, get it in there. Get it nice and flavorful, everybody. Gorgeous. You could do that if you're going to do like a Christmas lasagna stream. World Builders Haven, the idea of doing fresh pasta for a lasagna stream sounds like the most ridiculous about that. Oh, making a lasagna at home, I can't lie. The sheer amount of pots, the sheer amount of components, it is so much that I'm actually not all that crazy about doing lasagnas at home, even celebratorily. It just does not feel like a dish that is that well suited to a home environment. Everybody, look at my sofrito. Look how much it's reduced. Look how much it's broken down. Look how beautiful and soft it's gotten. That is what we're looking for. We're not looking to bite into these vegetables. We're looking for these vegetables to contribute to the final bean. Okay? So, all of that is going, all that is beautiful. It is time for us to begin to add the beans. Everybody, refried beans aren't actually fried. They're just cooked twice. That is what it means to be refried beans. While these are some perfectly cooked beans, the goal now is going to be to cook them until they get so soft that they break down. We add in the beans. We add in the beans, everybody. I'm not going to do this whole pot of beans. And really important, we also add the bean liquid. The bean liquid is what's going to thicken up beautifully. The bean liquid is what's going to give this thing some serious viscosity. So add in that bean liquid. Do not hesitate. Do not be shy. You need that liquid as much as you need the beans, and they need you. Don't toss it away. Don't throw it away. Let's get all of those beans in there. Let's get all of them in. And let's probably do one more big old ladle, or 2 more ladles, depending on how I'm feeling. 2 ladles worth. We're going to make a big old pot of refried beans. And everybody, that's just about it. The only thing this has to do now is cook down until it gets so soft that it gets mashed up. We cook it down with that cooking liquid. We cook it down, it's going to get thick, it's going to get viscous, and then we mash it up, my friends. So the only thing that this really needs at this stage is going to be another big old pinch of salt. That's all. Nice big pinch of salt. Going inside, mix it all in. And now this bad boy can just cook. It can just cook, it can just go, it can just do its own thing. Ooh. Lovely. That's all that we need for the refried beans until we finish it and mash it all up, my friends. Okay? We just go along with calling them refried beans. That's right, Chai Chica. Even if they're not actually fried, they're refried beans, I suppose. More like twice cooked. That's how I like to think of them. Instead of calling them refried beans, I like to think of them as twice cooked instead. But all of that is purely semantics. Everybody, I'm going to go onto a different stove, onto the other heat, because on this stove is where we're going to be doing the rice for today. This bad boy needs to boil down. He needs to cook down. He needs to go ahead and get nice and soft and beautiful and delicious. This pot is where we will be making the rice for today. So, forgive me for 1 second, please. I'll be right back. I just have to go ahead and make sure that my rice is all set up somewhere. Okay, excellent. And let's go ahead and get this pot onto the heat as well, my friends. Nice low medium. Now we're going to be cooking up the rest of the sofrito. We're going to be cooking up the rest of the tomato. We'll be cooking it down really heavily, really beautifully. I finally figured out how to make chocolate milk. Well, Sue Dweller, I'm happy that I could help. So, all that we have going on at the moment, my beans are on one stove. They're cooking down. They're going to get nice and beautiful, and they're going to get nice and thick. On this stove, this is where we're going to be making the rice. Everybody, especially for seasoned rices, that is one of the only times that I'll ever advocate for non-stick. The reason why I really like having non-stick for something like a seasoned rice is because the tomato, the aromatics, they can scorch on the bottom in the time that it takes for the rice to cook. A non-stick pan, a little bit less sticky, things do not burn nearly as fast on one of these bad boys. Okay? So, that's going. Over here I have a few grains of rice that I didn't actually completely take out. That's okay. And we're going to go in with a generous amount of olive oil. We want the nice tasty fat. We don't want canola oil. We don't want peanut oil. We just want a nice, delicious fat, my friends. And a generous amount of it too. All of that goes in. And the goal now is just as soon as this heats up, we'll be sauteing the rest of the sofrito for today. We'll add the tomato, we'll let the tomato reduce, we'll work on the shrimp, we'll work on the last of our prep for today. Okay, so things are chill. We got one component basically done minus the mashing it needs. It's boiling away, it's bubbling away, it looks wonderful, and the goal is just to keep on reducing it. Keep on reducing it, heat this pan up, and this is going to be for my rice today. So, hope you're all enjoying the show so far today. Hope you're all enjoying the cooking stream. Hope you're all having a beautiful day today. If you have any questions, now would be a wonderful time to go ahead and ask me. I'm going to put a couple of things away because we have some time now. We have some time where we can chill out. And so, instead of just leaving all of these dishes at the end of the day, I am just going to put a few things away right now while I have a second of time to do so. Okay. So, what else can I put away in the meantime? I think I might actually keep one packet of sazon just in case, depending on how I feel about the beans by the end of this. We still have the chicken bouillon powder, which we're going to need for the rice. Chef, do I ever do any canning or pickling? Godzilla's, I would love to get into canning and pickling. I really, really would. But the answer is I have not. I've only done one pickling project in the past. It just requires a lot of it requires just a lot of space. Do hotel schools exist in your area? Say at a fire. Not in my area, but there is the Cornell School of Hospitality, and that's where people would go for that kind of thing. So not in my area, but a little bit of ways away. Okay, so my olive oil doesn't need to be super hot. It'll heat back on up. Get all of the sofrito inside, the rest of the sofrito into the olive oil. The last of my onions and scallions and bell peppers, my friends. Get it nicely and beautifully frying. Get it frying, get it cooking, get it all inside of the pot. Excellent. Get it all in there. So, that's going. The beans are going. We're cooking up the next batch of sofrito, and this is all going to be used for the rice, my friends. And we're going to get this just as soft, just as perfectly cooked. It's going to be wonderful. Let's go ahead and season this with a little bit more salt. But keep in mind, this is going to be getting some chicken bouillon powder. The chicken bouillon powder is naturally really salty, so we only need a little bit. Beans are going. Sofrito for the rice is all going. We're going to cook this down until it becomes a wonderful aromatic paste. Add the garlic, add the tomatoes into it. It'll be lovely. Okay, so let's go ahead and prep the shrimp in the meantime that we'll be sauteing on up later on. Is everybody still watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. Excellent. I'm happy to hear it. Okay, so I have this lovely shrimp. Also, say at a fire, that is not at all a silly question. You have nothing to worry about, I promise you that. Okay? Where did my waste bowl go, actually? Hold on. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I keep losing things today, and I'm kind of going insane about it. I had like a waste bowl where I put like all of my garbage in, and I have no idea where it could have possibly gone. Did I put it in the dishwasher already? What is happening with me today? I have lost like several things. And this is more so than usual. This is so odd. Where did my waste bowl go with like all of my kitchen scraps? All the things that we like cut up? Am I going crazy? That is something I've never lost before. It was a big bowl with vegetable scraps in it. How do I lose something like that? Did I just throw the whole bowl away? No. I'm not sick. I just lost 2 things. What is going on? I definitely took stuff out of the pressure cooker, put it into the waste bowl, and now I've lost my waste bowl. There's no chance that I threw it out. There's no chance that I put it into the oven. This is a small New York kitchen. The pot that I lost, it was down here. There was no chance that it's in there. It was a metal bowl with garbage inside. Oh my God. It was right behind me the whole time. It was right here the whole time. Okay. All right, I'm not thinking about it. Everybody, my sofrito is beautifully frying up. Same exact idea as the sofrito before. Just fry it up, let it do its thing. We gotta mix the beans, make sure nothing is scorching on the bottom. Nice low, medium heat. Scrape up the sides, get everything back into the pot. Get it all back inside, get it all inside, get it all inside. And now we could probably, finally, work on the shrimp. After all of the unfortunate events that we've just experienced. Okay. So, hi. Let's work on the shrimp. Everybody, this was also some of my additional inspiration for today. This is my leftover shrimp that I had in my freezer. Everybody, when you are buying shrimp, unless you're buying it fresh off the boat, if you go to a seafood counter in any supermarket, the shrimp that you're buying has already been frozen. It's already been frozen and it's been thawing for God knows how long. Please buy bags of individually quick frozen shrimp. This is IQF Easy Peel Shrimp. We'll just be peeling these bad boys up a little bit. Everybody, I'm telling you, the shrimp that you're buying again and again at the supermarket has already typically been frozen. So all I'm going to do is this is shrimp that I've thawed before the stream. That is the best way to get fresh shrimp. Buy it frozen. Buy bags of frozen shrimp. I'm going to peel it up. And what kind of shrimp is it? This is whichever one came in the bag. Individually quick frozen shrimp. This was just medium-sized shrimp. This was all of my leftover shrimp that I already had at home. And so I wanted to make the most of it. Yes, we will be getting rid of the armor. We'll be getting rid of the shell. And that's purely to make the eating experience as easy as possible, Moonhum. We'll be quickly sauteing it. These are little guys. They'll take no time at all. And so just going through it and peeling them up. Peeling them up, peeling them up. Looking excellent. And then we'll pat them dry and we'll season them with some salt. The salt is going to help penetrate it, make it nice and evenly seasoned all the way throughout. And it's also going to help make it a little bit bouncier in texture. We're going to dry it off to get rid of any of that excess moisture. They're sopping wet, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead, very, very gently, take a paper towel and pat them dry. But first, I'll be stirring up this sofrito to make sure that nothing is scorching, to make sure that nothing is possibly burning. Get all of that good stuff mixed up, my friends, and keep it frying. Keep it frying, keep it frying, keep it going. And pat dry the shrimp. Jack, that feeling of you don't want to mess it up, I mean, so you're saying, I have a more serious question. When I usually cook, I have a feeling I don't want to mess this up, even though I made a dish multiple times. Will this feeling go away, or is this something that will stay? You know, I don't really know how to answer the question, because this is not really something I've particularly experienced, aside from like when I'm cooking, like, for example, a very expensive steak. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to mess it up. And so this feeling will go away. So as long as you know what you could mess up, you need to learn what you can possibly mess up. And then you need to understand how to avoid it and understand how to troubleshoot it. If you're insecure about it, maybe there's actually something that you're not checking. Okay? This feeling will go away if you are checking for all of the right things. If you understand, hey, what are the potential points that something could actually end up going wrong? How do I avoid it? How do I troubleshoot it? Answer those questions within reason, and then it'll go away. If you're experiencing that anxiety, then you might actually just not have that answered. Okay? So everybody, I have these little guys of shrimp. We're going to go ahead and season them with some salt. Get them nice and ready to go for today. A little bit of salt on each of these little guys. Flip them over, flip them over, flip them over. And oftentimes, by the way, please check. Some shrimp comes pre-seasoned, some of it comes pre-salted. Please just make sure that if it already is pre-salted, then don't add too much additional salt. Okay, everything has been nice and evenly seasoned, my friends. I'm going to put these into the fridge until we are ready to cook with them. But first, give my sofrito another stir. That's looking wonderful. All the vegetables are nicely and beautifully frying. I'll get my shrimp put away, my friends. Excellent. Okay, so what else do we have to do? We have a little bit more vegetable prep coming up ahead of us. The beans are gently cooking away. They're gently simmering. They're gently bubbling and boiling down. And make sure that you are often scraping the bottom of the pot. Everybody, the bottom of the pot is where all of the sticky proteins, they sink to the bottom, all the sugars. The bottom of the pot can easily become burnt and scorched as the sides. So make sure when you're cooking these beans like this, that you're going back in there as the liquid becomes more viscous. You're going in there and you're cleaning it up, that you're scraping all of it up. You can see that these beans are getting, well, you can't see, but you can see my pot of beans is getting nice and beautiful and creamy and thick, my friends. And so nice low heat, nice low medium, stir it all back up, make sure that everything is progressing nicely. Come back to the sofrito, stir that bad boy up, and everybody, I believe this should be ready for the garlic today. Now, rest of the garlic going in. I should have eaten the crawdads before World Builder's Haven. Crawdads are really lovely, they're really delicious. Okay, add in the garlic now. And again, we add the garlic last because if we add the garlic sooner, it would have ended up burning. It takes a lot less time than the other vegetables do. Okay, so mix it all in, mix it in. Mix all of that good stuff in, my friends. And just keep it frying. Keep it frying, keep it infusing into all that beautiful fat. Nice low medium heat. Those beans are thick. That's right. Okay? And everybody, now that the garlic has properly fried inside of all of this oil as well, what we're going to do is, before we add in the tomato, we're actually going to be frying the bouillon. We're almost treating it like a spice. We're almost treating it like a seasoning. We're going to go in with a nice spoon or two of my chicken bouillon powder, and we're adding that right in, and we're going to let that fry for a second as well. Just let it fry, not too long or anything. Just help to toast it, help develop that flavor a little bit. Okay, and now that we've given that a bit of a head start, in goes the tomato puree, my friends. And now it is time to cook and reduce this down. We want to get this into a paste. We want to get the raw tomato flavor cooked out of it, my friends. Cook it down, boil it down, let it do its thing for a little bit, okay? Well, actually, I don't think we have enough time to properly reduce this into a full paste, so we'll just give them a bit of a head start, let it go do its thing for a little bit, and then we'll do the rest of the guys. Does anybody have any more questions for me in the meantime? I'm going to go back for the beans, mix those bad boys up a little bit. I'll show you how they're coming along in just a moment's time, my friends. It's looking beautiful. It's looking phenomenal. The tomato is in with the rest of the sofrito. Okay, so everybody, there is something that I'm going to be doing here, okay? We will not be adding the rice directly into the tomato. I'm going to say this again. We're not going to add the rice directly to the tomato. We're going to be first taking away the tomato. We're going to be taking away this lovely sauce that we're building, add the rice, add the amount of water, and then add it back in. If we add the rice as is, it's very difficult for us to tell how much additional liquid we need. The way that we measure the amount of water that we need for the rice is purely a few millimeters, a few inches above it. By having other stuff in alongside the rice, it makes it a lot more difficult to judge how much rice we need to add. So before we add the rice, we take out everything in our pot. We add the rice, add in the amount of water, okay? And then add in all the other good stuff. I hope that makes sense to everybody, okay? So make the sauce, make it happen, go back in your beans, stir that up a little bit. Beautiful. Oof. Everybody, I just tasted those beans. They're kind of ridiculous. They're so flavorful, they're so incredible, they're lovely, and it still hasn't been mashed yet. We're gonna get to all of that in just a little bit of time. So right now, all I want to do is I just want to cook the raw flavor out of the tomato, give it a bit of a head start, and then we'll finish up the rice, my friends. So, really good question to ask me, really good time to ask me any questions that you may have. A lot of the chaos has now died down. We got the shrimp prepped, we got the beans cooking, the bacon has already been cooked as well. We'll do the garnishes, we'll do all the finishes, we'll plate it up, and it will be delicious, my friends. Inside of this pot is my homemade sofrito, the bell peppers, the jalapenos, the onions and the scallions. heavily fried in olive oil, added in some garlic, added in some tomato. After the rice is cooked, we'll be finishing it with the cilantro. I'm not cooking the cilantro because the cilantro is very volatile. Okay, a lot of its aroma, a lot of its flavor with a little bit of heat, it quite literally evaporates. Right, the aromatics inside of the cilantro, it quite literally vaporizes. So we're only going to be folding it in and adding it in at the end. Okay, the cilantro, it's going to go towards the shrimp, it's going to go towards this, it's going to go towards the beans. Everything is going to be fantastic. Okay, so what can I do with herbs that have almost gone bad? Jack, use them in a stock. Use them towards the stock. Also, Ark317, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. If I had to give up one aromatic forever, which would it be and why? Steampunk Ocelot. That is a very difficult question to answer. It's difficult to answer because aromatics aren't actually an all-encompassing category. Onions can be an aromatic, but they can also be other things. Carrots aren't typically an aromatic, but in a mirepoix they are. So, things can function as an aromatic, but very few things are exclusively aromatics. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but what I'm trying to say is I don't actually think there is a feasible way for me to answer your question. Right? Because there is just so much variation of what even, it's so subjective as to what could even constitute it. Okay, everybody, I let the tomato cook just a little bit. We gave it a bit of a head start. This pot right now, my friends, with the chicken bouillon, the tomato, the sofrito, this little pot is still so flavorful, and it still doesn't have the cilantro, it still doesn't have lime juice. What is a spice that is over or underused in cooking? Overused onion powder. I think onion powder, especially in American cooking, it is used all over the place. People use it all the time. It gets very, very boring. Things can immediately taste like onion powder to me. I'm not crazy about it as a seasoning. Okay, everybody, I'm going to tell you right now that my sofrito, my tomato, this is cooked down enough. We gave it a bit of a head start. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly transfer this to a little bowl and then add in the rice, measure the liquid, and I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect stovetop rice. Can I please get a yes, chef? So all of this stuff, we just got to get most of it dumped out. Most of it inside of this bowl, please. Most of the solids. Oh my gosh, that is right to the top. That is just about to spill out. That's okay. We'll come back to that guy in just a second. So, in goes my nicely washed rice. It is so much easier. I'm going to say this again and again. It is so much easier to measure the amount of liquid that you need before you add your solids. Come take a look. Come take a look, everybody. I'm going to show you exactly just how muddled it gets. In goes the rice. And now we want just enough water to barely cover the rice. This is the trick to perfect stovetop rice. You need at the same level of water as the rice, and then the more you add, the mushier it gets. Okay, so in it goes, and a little drop of water extra, right on top. Beautiful. That is going to be enough water, and we have additional liquid coming in the form of the tomato. So everybody, watch what happens. We're going to do a little bit more chicken bouillon in here, actually. Another spoon and a half or so. So come take a look. Look at what happens. I take this bowl, I take it with the tomato. Look how thick it gets. Look how thick it gets. It becomes so difficult to gauge the amount of liquid that is actually inside of the pot. It is so difficult for us to measure how much water we're going to end up needing. Look at this. Can you tell if the water is at the same level as the rice? Can you tell if it's above it? No, you can't. It's really, really difficult at this stage. Okay, so we take away the tomato puree, we take away the sofrito, we take away the solids, add the rice, add the correct amount of water, and then we put all of it back in. Everybody, bring to a boil, drop to a simmer, put a lid on it, and cook it for 20 minutes. We're going to be switching the burners because I wanted to show you all my lovely refried beans now. So take this all, once again, bring it to a nice boil, drop it to the lowest possible heat, and cook it for 20 minutes. These are my beans. These are my beautiful, beautiful beans. I'm very excited about them. She's all ready to go for today. She is just begging to be mashed up. My friends, these refried beans, they have so much seasoning. This has bacon fat, this has sofrito, this has sazon, it has all the vegetable scraps, perfectly cooked and creamy pinto beans. Can I please get another yes, chef? Please and thank you. I'm taking my rice, I'm bringing it up to a boil. I'm gonna grab a lid for it. that will go on in just a little bit of time. But right now, we got to focus on the beans for today. I'll also just take a second and put a few things away really quickly. Get a few things just thrown into the dishwasher, out of sight and out of mind. So now, this is the important step. Also, say out of fire, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for stopping by. Everybody, once again, if you'd like to support what we do here, exclamation mark Patreon. If you'd like to directly support the show, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and mash up these beans. We're gonna mash them up, and the best way to do so is by using a little potato masher. Some people, they blend it. Me personally, I don't actually want to blend it. I'm looking for a half chunky, half smooth, half creamy texture. Okay, nice little pinto beans, all ready to go. My rice seems to be properly bubbling, so I'm just gonna stir it up to make sure that none of the solids are on the bottom. Okay, just stir it up, mix it around a little bit, and slap a lid on it, and let that cook for 20 minutes. Low heat, everybody. Kitchen timer, 20 minutes. Let that go. And now it is time for us to mash the beans. Take them and smash them. Take them and smash them and smash them and smash them and keep going until you have your desired consistency. If it's too wet, if it's too loose, we can always cook it down and evaporate more of that liquid. But everybody, this is where the refried beans become what they are. This lovely, magical mash, this little puree. And it's gonna be so flavorful. I already know it. I'm gonna have a little taste of it just as it is because I'm so desperate. Please let me see how delicious it's become. Guys, these beans, oh, they're seasoned. Was my biggest kitchen taboo, like my personal rule that nobody should ever break in a kitchen ever? I don't know if I have one, Jack. But guys, we're just mashing. We're just mashing at this point. We're mashing, we gotta get it done. It's gonna be a little bit of time, it's gonna be a little bit of a process. Just keep going, have fun with it. I don't know, Jack, I'm gonna have to think about that question. Keep mashing, keep mashing, keep mashing. Yeah, the rock chop, there it is actually. Jack, of all the cooking techniques, the rock chop, you got it. That would be probably my biggest kitchen taboo. Hate it as a technique. Do not like it. Okay, get it in there, my friends, and mash it up. So, also really quickly, keep in mind, this is refried beans. It's never gonna look amazing per se. Okay, it's never gonna look amazing, it's never gonna look beautiful, it's never gonna look gorgeous. It is gonna be brown, or in my case, slightly orange tinted slop from the sazon itself. But for what it lacks in looks, it makes up in its deep and rich flavor, my friends. So it's okay. It's okay that it is not the most picturesque dish in the world. It is fine. It happens to the best of us. Keep mashing. I don't want any massive chunks of beans still left over, so I'm occasionally going back in there and just scooping all of it back on up. But you can see how soft it is. You can see how creamy it's gotten, my friends. That is a beautiful refried bean. Gorgeous, delicious, aromatic, perfectly seasoned, a little bit spicy too, and we'll just be finishing it off with some cilantro, my friends. So a little bit more mashing, and then that will be my desired consistency. It has the bacon fat, it has everything that you could possibly want and more. Okay. There she is. That looks good. A few more presses, a few more mashes, and the longer that you cook it, if you're struggling to mash it, you probably did not cook it enough. If you cooked it properly, if you cooked it for long enough, this is all just gonna easily come together. This gorgeous, beautiful paste that is refried beans. One of my favorite all-time dishes, my friends. High heat quick saute, well, Shai Chica, there are times when high heat quick sautés are okay. Specifically like in a wok, for instance, right? When you're like really quickly trying to like brown something over a high temperature and you have enough fat, then that's okay. There are times when high heat sautés are all right. Okay. That Looks pretty wonderful. Well, to me at least. I'm gonna have another little taste of it. I'm gonna taste it for seasoning. And I think I just wanna cook this down a little bit longer. It's a little too wet for me. It's a little too loose. But it's gonna thicken up. It's gonna get nice and viscous. But in the meantime, everybody, let's just taste it as it is. I love legumes. Oh, guys, that is so good. That is so delicious. Oh, my refried beans are amazing. The bacon fat, let me tell you right now, the bacon fat really comes through. The bacon fat is what makes this so special. The perfectly cooked sofrito. That is a flavorful pot of beans. Beans are not just meant to be bland. They're not just meant to be things that you throw onto a bowl. Beans deserve love. They deserve integrity. They deserve affection. They deserve a little bit of attention, as do I, quite frankly. Deserve a lot of attention. Your beans do too. Okay, so get it in there. Get it all cooking. The last thing that we need for today is going to be the cooking of the shrimp. And so what we're going to do in the meantime is we still have some more vegetable prep to go ahead and get done. Refried beans without lard just don't taste as good. That's right, World Builders Haven. Traditionally lard, but in my case, bacon fat. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the rest of the prep for today. We're going to need some really lovely fresh cilantro. The cilantro is going to go into just about every single component for today. So let's go get that out of the fridge. And again, this was my main inspiration for today, everybody. I had this whole box of fresh cilantro. Could I use ghee for the beans? Jack, you could use any cooking fat that you want. Okay, let's get all of the cilantro, all of it out, all of it out. And we're just going to go ahead and get it nice and beautifully sliced up. Because everybody, you can't have Mexican food without cilantro. And when I say some cilantro, I mean a lot of cilantro. So, everybody, I need your full attention. I need to hear yes, chef, right now, please and thank you. We don't chop it. We don't crush it. And we, above all else, do not rock chop it. Terrible technique, terrible for the food, and terrible for your knife. We don't crush it. We don't hack it. We don't apply vertical force. We slice it. We slice it gently. Nice sharp knife. We use the full surface area of your knife. So take your cilantro leaves, take them and bundle them up. Bundle it up, bundle it up, bundle all of it up. Okay? Bundle all of it up and thinly, 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 thinly slice it. Look at that. Perfectly sliced. Ready to go. Nice and thin, full length, and it's not bleeding. Everybody, if you crush your cilantro, it's going to leach out all of the stuff that makes it bright and green and aromatic. And if you crush it, it's going to turn brown and oxidize. I want my cilantro to stay vibrant. I don't want it to be destroyed and massacred, my friends. Okay? So slice it and slice it and slice it and slice it and keep slicing it. And we're going to do another pass. We pick it all up, nice 90-degree rotation, and slice it and slice it and slice it. And that is going to be the perfect cilantro for today, my friends. So, good chunk of the cilantro. It's going to go right now. It's going to go directly into the pot of beans that we have here. Well, actually, hold on a second. We're reducing the beans. I forgot about that still. I'm going to hold off on that. Chef, what does cilantro taste like? Well, it's kind of difficult because it's more of like what it smells like. So the way that it smells is kind of how it tastes. It's bright, it's aromatic, it's very vegetal. And so the most similar thing, if you have the cilantro soap gene, you would get culantro, C-U-L-A-N-T-R-O. While not exactly the same, they do taste similar enough that they can be substituted for each other. Parsley and cilantro taste nothing alike, but it is my understanding that if you have the soap gene, you could just get culantro. Okay, so everybody stir this pot of beans. Stir it up, stir it up. If you don't stir it up, it's gonna scorch on the bottom. It's gonna stick and burn at the bottom of the pot. And that is not what we're looking for today. Okay, that is not what we're looking for at all, quite frankly. I don't want it burned, I don't want it stuck, so keep it going, keep it processing. I'm gonna throw another thing into the dishwasher. And I don't actually think we're gonna need red onions today. I think we have plenty of onion and everything else. I don't think we need more allium. Yep, culantro, it's used all the time in Latin American cooking. It's also used in Vietnamese cooking a lot. So I would recommend giving that a shot. Okay, The beans are going, my friends. I just wanted them to be a little bit more thick. I wanted them to have a little bit more viscosity to them. They were a little bit too runny for my tastes. And so we're just continuing to cook them down ever so slightly. Scrape off the sides. That is a lovely pot of refried beans. Just let it do its thing. Okay, using my bench scraper, I'm going to go ahead and scoop all of this stuff back on up. Put it onto my little plate. Okay, let's go ahead and get my limes juiced. My lime's ready to go for today. Okay, we're gonna need lime for garnish. We're gonna need lime going into the pot of rice. And we're also gonna need some lime juice to go ahead and finish up my, how do you say it? My shrimp. Okay, wonderful. So, half this lime is gonna be used for the shrimp. Half of it will be used for garnish. So, this little guy, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut up into slightly smaller pieces. This I'm gonna go ahead and set aside. Then these guys, they're gonna get juiced, my friends. These are gonna get absolutely juiced. Okay, but in the meantime, still going back to the pot of beans. Again, make sure nothing is scorching. Make sure nothing is sticking on the bottom. You're gonna have to mix it all back in. Mix it in, fold everything back in, my friends. Lovely. Next, let's go ahead and grab a little citrus press, and we're gonna go ahead and juice my limes. So half of it will be used for my shrimp, or rather just one half of the lime, and the whole lime will be used for my cilantro rice. So take it, squeeze it out, and in it goes. If you don't have a citrus press, you are making a big mistake. These are incredible, incredible kitchen tools. Take your citrus press, and this is gonna be for the rice. That's one of those bad boys, and that's two. Face down, flesh side down, take it, juice it, squeeze it, in it all goes. Excellent. Okay, back to the beans. Give them another stir. Once again, ensure that nothing is sticking. Ensure that nothing is squelching, please. And thank you. And everybody, I believe that we've evaporated enough liquid and we've hit our desired viscosity. So come to the stove. This is what I want. This is the texture, and it's going to get thicker as it cools down. So we've taken it off the heat. We've turned off the heat. We've switched off the heat, everybody. And now, once the heat is off, we're going to stir in a big handful of fresh cilantro. Cilantro going in. Cilantro going in. Because you can never have too much cilantro, my friends. A bunch of beautiful fresh cilantro for my refried beans, and just mix it all in. And that's it. That's my pot of refried beans. It's viscous, it's delicious. Everything has now been mixed in. This is ready to serve. I'll go ahead and put that away, put that behind us. That is perfect. That is all ready to go. I'm gonna get another pan ready. This is gonna be for Mr. Shrimp. And the shrimp itself is only going to take a few minutes. We don't even need to worry about heating up this pan right now, but we'll get back to it. We still have a few more things that we need to prep, specifically these scallions. What is my biggest flex in cooking, chef? Ooh, Jack, I have a lot of flexes. I don't know if I have necessarily the biggest one in mind or anything, but I have a lot. I have a lot of things that I think I do very well in the kitchen. Okay. So, last thing that we need to prep, everybody. I have a bunch of leftover scallions. Let's just go ahead and get my scallions chopped up as well. I want to be done with them. I want to get rid of them. Just get them out of here already. So, let's get my scallions. Some lovely scallion greens. And this is all just going to be for garnish. I'm also just going to add some into the beans because why not? Maybe actually, ooh, we'll probably just add them in with the shrimp as well while they saute a little bit. Everybody, take it and just slice it up. Stack it up, slice it up. I don't need paper thin strips. Just go for it. Go for it, go for it, go for it. Nice, beautiful shrapnel of nice fresh scallions. Gonna add a nice alumi bite. Gonna be a really nice garnish, a nice oniony garnish to have at the end of the day. I already have it, so let's go ahead and make the most out of it. Excellent. So, a small little handful of this, I'm just gonna add right into the beans because why not, right? We already have it. Let's just go ahead and use it up. I'm just gonna put that right inside with them and just mix it in. It doesn't need to cook. They're basically herbs at this point, right? Greens, scallion greens, they're so small, they're so thin. They just really, really quickly cook up. And I'm just gonna go ahead and scoop up the rest of them and add them onto my plate. Okay, everybody, I believe that was all of our prep for today. We're done with all the prep work. There's nothing else left to chop. There's nothing left to slice. The only thing that we have left to do is to cook the shrimp. I'm washing off my knife because it's a carbon steel knife, and if I leave it too wet or too acidic for too long, it can and will rust. And I don't want to damage my knife, I don't want to damage my tools, so out it goes. Whew. The beans are done. The rice is just about to be finished. We're gonna saute the shrimp. We're gonna add in some scallions. We're gonna add in some garlic. We're gonna add in some serrano chilies. Finish it with just like a little splash of lime juice, and it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be delicious. Everybody, as always, we have a stainless steel pan. We never heat it up on high. If you heat it up on high, you will develop hot spots and cool spots. Nice, low, medium heat, everybody. You don't have to do the water test. Low, medium heat, and let it heat up slowly. If you find that food is often sticking to a stainless steel pan, especially proteins, you probably didn't let it heat up long enough. Heating it up for the right amount of time, everybody, heating it up low and slow. That is how you will get nice and evenly heated pan with no cold spots. Food will stick to the cold spots on your pan. It will. So, all that happens now is the shrimp goes on. The shrimp is gonna get nice and seared. It's gonna get nice and properly sauteed. We're gonna add in the garlic and the chilies. We're going to add in the scallions, finish it with a hit of lime juice, kill the heat, and then clean our hands of it and be done with it. Everybody, we have done just about everything else. I'm gonna take a second and put a few more things into the dishwasher while we have a moment of time. And while it is heating it up on low medium, we're gonna add in just the smallest little splash of olive oil. This liquid in the pan is basically going to become like a pseudo sauce. We want a nice tasty fat, and the shrimp doesn't get cooked at scorching high heat or anything. So a little splash of olive oil. That's going to be plenty to lubricate it and to help it not stick to the pan. Low, medium heat, everybody, as always. And I'm just going to stir up my rice just to see how my rice is doing. Looking excellent. Looking gorgeous at the moment, actually. Just fold that back in there, and that's going to need a little bit more time. Excellent. Whew. Hi. Everybody, we're in the final step. Last thing that happens, the shrimp gets cooked, we finish it off, and then we get to plate and have the joy of eating all of it. So I'm just taking a second and putting away a few dishes while we have a moment of time. This is the best time to do so, everybody. Once you're done with a big thing and you have a little bit of passive time, use that time to clean. Always, always, always. Get stuff put away. Take advantage of your passive time. You don't want to be left with a big mess of a kitchen afterwards. Okay. Heating up that pan, getting it nice and hot. You do want the pan to be just hot enough that the shrimp doesn't stick to it. Otherwise, it will just immediately stick to the stainless steel. Okay. That's right, the patented low and slow method. Not really patented, but that's okay. Ooh, guys, that refried bean, that stuff looks incredible at the moment, I have to say. Okay. The oil is getting nice and hot. That's slowly being heated up. Getting the rest of my trash thrown away, and also putting my waste bowl away. And everybody, these shrimps, They're so thin that they're barely going to take any time to cook through at all. Do not hammer the shrimp to death with heat. It needs so little time. They're thin, they're small. If you overcook it, it's just going to be rubbery and it's going to be chewy, and that is not what we're looking for out of all of this lovely shrimp. Low heat, everybody. Low heat. Slowly heat up that pan. Get it ready to go for the purposes that we have in store for it. And I'm just going to keep filling up my dishwasher, because we have a second of time. Once again, this is the best time to do so. Everybody, the rice is just about ready to come on out. Ooh, I'm gonna show you this rice. It's gonna be perfectly cooked. It's gonna be nice and delicious. We're gonna mix in the cilantro. We're gonna mix in the lime juice. It'll make it really shine. It'll make it really pop. The beans are all done. The pan is slowly heating back on up. I'm gonna go ahead and take my shrimp out of the fridge. And this is just enough for like one portion at most. Did I forget to crumble up my bacon? I think I forgot to cut up my bacon. That's okay. We'll just crumble it up on the plate and call it a day. So, guess what? My beans are cooked. My rice is cooked. Now, we just got to finish the rice, let it steam, let it do its thing. Everybody, let me show you this beautiful bowl of rice. Let me show you my perfectly cooked, consistent stovetop rice. Off the heat she goes, onto the table temporarily, grabbing a nice little wooden spoon for it. Let me show you this thing. All of the steam has come on off. We have some perfectly cooked grains of rice. Everybody, my lime juice going in, my scallions, and my cilantro as well. All of it get mixed in. All of it gets mixed in. All of it gets mixed in. And fold it in and let it steam all together. That is what really, really nice, properly seasoned rice looks like. Just let it sit, let it do its own thing for a little bit, and then we'll come back to it. Gently fold it in, gently fold it all back in. Have a little taste. Mmm. 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 That is so good. That is so flavorful. Everybody put a lid back on it and let it steam. Let it finish the job. Just let it sit until you are ready to eat it today. Wow. Okay? That's perfect. And now it is time for us to cook the shrimp. The pan is heated up. The pan is nice and hot. And let's get our shrimp on. Guys, the shrimp take basically no time at all. It goes on, it curls up. This at most takes just a few minutes. So in goes my lovely little shrimps. We're laying them in. We're laying, oh, come on, buddy. You can see it's not sticking. The pan was properly heated up nice and slowly. Nothing is sticking. Nothing is sticking. Let's get the oil distributed back in there. Nothing is sticking at all. My perfectly seasoned shrimp. All of it goes on, and we're gonna go ahead and get a really nice crust on these bad boys. Guys, at most, a minute or two. How do I know if the shrimp is undercooked or overcooked? Really good question, Rocket Man. We're looking for the center of the shrimp, so where you take the vein out. We're looking for that to become mostly translucent, and we know it's fully cooked if it's, think of like a really tight shrimp curl all the way. You want it slightly opened up. That's gonna be the perfect shrimp. The more that the shrimp cooks, the more that it curls up. If it curls up all the way into a tight little ball, that's a good indication, that is a good sign that it's cooked for a little bit too long. So as long as we do not hit that point, as long as we're undershooting, then we will be perfect. Gonna just wash my hands off really quickly. Nice low, medium heat, everybody. Low, medium heat, develop that crust. Develop it, develop it, develop it. Okay? Make it happen. Now, that is all of the time that it's actually gonna need on that first side. Go back in there, we put it in clockwise, we flip it clockwise. Go all the way around. Guys, no sticking. We're on a stainless steel pan with a negligible amount of olive oil. Look at how nothing And I mean absolutely nothing is sticking. That's because we slowly heated it up. That is the trick to mastering stainless steel. If you take a stainless steel pan and you blast it with high heat, yeah, you're gonna get hot spots and cool spots. Guys, heat it up for a long period of time. Look at that, beautiful shrimp. Let it go, let it do its own thing for just a little bit longer, and then we'll finish it off, and it'll be delicious, and it'll be time for us to plate and eat. Oh, I desperately want to taste some of these beans that we've made, but it's excellent. It's so good. Guys, look at the shrimp. Nothing is sticking, nothing at all. No stickage anywhere to be found. You can see that it's all really getting there. It's all beginning to really curl up, my friends. Okay, so now it's time for us to really finish the shrimp. Garlic and serrano chilies, that goes in. This needs a little bit of time to get nice and browned as well. We're turning up the heat at this point, and we're just sauteing the shrimp with the garlic and with the chilies. This takes no time at all to finish, everybody. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's all gonna come together. Take it and just saute it a little bit. Toss it all together. Get the garlic nicely golden brown. Get the chilies nice and softened. Getting it all a little bit spicy. Okay? Gonna just grab another spoon for the job here. Whoop, come on, buddy. Back in the pot you go. Thank you. Everything is cooking together. Everything is getting really nice and delicious, my friends. It just needs a little bit more time for the garlic, for the chilies, for all of that pink in the shrimp to be cooked out. Just a little bit longer. Not too much time at all. Oh. Are those jalapenos really big serranos? Those are really big serranos, World Builders Haven. Although any of them would work, serranos and jalapenos are basically identical. Okay, a little bit more, my friends, a little bit longer. Keep it moving so that the garlic doesn't burn. Keep it all moving. Right, the garlic just made the whole pan a little bit stickier. That's okay. Cook it all a little bit longer. We're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. We're almost there, everybody. You can see that the shrimp have just about fully curled up on themselves. A little bit longer, a little bit longer. Okay, everybody, kill the heat. Shut off that heat. Stop it from cooking now. Add in the lime juice to deglaze. Get all of the solids to dissolve from the bottom of the pan. That steam is a little bit hot though, so please be careful. Get all of it in there. Get everything deglazed. Get everything a part of the shrimp. Get the shrimp nice and covered. And go in with your scallions and your cilantro. So the only difference between serranos and jalapenos is that serranos tend to be a little bit spicier. Otherwise, they're just a little bit differently shaped, but they serve the exact same function in something. Jalapenos, they tend to be a lot more mild. Everybody, that's it. That is our lovely shrimp. The shrimp, the chilies, the rice, everything is done. Let's go ahead and get it all set up. Let's get it all plated. The shrimp is perfectly cooked, nice and golden, nice crust on there, deglaze with the lime juice, with the garlic, with the chilies. Let's go ahead and plate. So, all that we're gonna do is we're gonna get a nice big, I'm thinking a plate. I want a plate for this. Okay, nice plate. And we're gonna get a nice big mound of my perfectly cooked rice. My delicious Spanish rice, flavorful and seasoned. Let's get a nice big, healthy scoop. And this is gonna be my dinner food today. So, I want a nice big generous plate for myself. Some of that. My beautiful seasoned rice. Let's go get a nice big mound of refried beans on there as well. Not the world's most attractive customer, but that's okay. Oh, I'm piling it on today. I'm hungry. That's right. Let's go get my little shrimps out. Let's get them on there. But we're not done. We're not done yet. That's my refried beans. These are my little shrimps coming out now. Wow, everything is actually just kind of slopped on. So, not my best plating in the world today. Please forgive me. Wow, I did not care at all about I just piled everything on. Okay, let's just at least hopefully get this lined up a little bit. So there is some kind of division, so there is some kind of separation. And everybody, I personally have some cotija cheese. I'm gonna garnish my beans with a little bit of cotija, and then we'll go ahead and season it up with the cilantro and the scallion and a little bit more lime juice. Let's go get a nice spoon of cotija. Just right on top. Dust it on, dust it on, dust it on. Because I love cotija with my refried beans. Some sour cream would also be really lovely at this stage. And then everybody, last but not least, let's finish it off with some scallions and some cilantro. Just right on top it goes. Just directly on as it is. And everybody, this is it. This is what we have made today. So my plating, not the best, but I'm hungry and I wanted to eat. And this is called I'm hungry and I want to eat and I don't care about how it's all sitting on a plate. My bacon refried beans, my seasoned rice, and perfectly cooked shrimp. Bacon refried beans. We made some sofrito. We fried it heavily. We made it with jalapenos, bell peppers, onions, and scallions. Garlic. We added sazon. We added some chicken bouillon as we cooked the beans with a bunch of vegetable scraps, a bunch of garlic. Cooked it down, mashed it up, all in some bacon fat. Shrimp, quickly sauteed. Salt, some cilantro, some chili, some garlic, some lime juice. Rice, sofrito, tomato, garlic, lime juice, cilantro, scallion. Garnish with a little bit of cotija on the beans. Look at these beans. Delicious. Look at the rice. Delicious. Oh. I love Mexican food so much. And all this was from leftovers. Leftover cilantro, leftover shrimp, leftover chilies. Perfectly cooked shrimp. Oh. Magnificent. Everybody, thank you all for being here. That's all for today. Next stream is this Friday, 5 p.m. EDT. There's going to be some news coming in soon. Check out my Patreon. Check out my Discord. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your night. Be well. Be safe. See you all in 2 days' time, this Friday, 5 p.m. EDT. Thank you, thank you. I will see you all then. Take care. Be well. Be safe. And I'll see you soon.